That's about the only time you can mow. You've been so hot. I was sharpening blades on the shredder last night.
Sounds on.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Burnet County Judge Brian Wilson. I now call this public hearing to order. Today is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. It is now 9 a.m. The purpose of this public hearing is to discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding the following items. Pursuant to Chapter 300 of the Texas Health and Safety Code, the Burnet County Commissioners Court will hold a public hearing to discuss, consider, and take action addressing the following: creation of the Burnet County Local Provider Participation Fund, adoption of the Burnet County Health Care Provider Participation Program rules and procedures, designation of at least one bank as the depository for mandatory payments received by Burnet County under the Local Provider Participation Fund, the requirement that each institutional health care provider submit a copy of any financial and utilization data required by and reported to the Department of State Health Services under Texas Health and Safety Code Section 311.032 and 311.033, and all other necessary actions to comply with the Texas Health and Safety Code Section Chapter 300. I have several folks here that would like to address the request here today, representing Ascension and Baylor Scott and White, the two hospitals in our area. And I think, Michael, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to step forward and say your name for the record?
Absolutely. Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. My name is Michael Neal. I'm with Adelanto Healthcare Ventures, and we are working with the hospitals in Burnet County, Ascension, and Baylor Scott and White to support the request that you approve the authorization and creation of a local provider participation fund, also known as an LPPF. Before I get started, I did want to recognize our hospital representatives who are from your local community hospitals here. We have Lydia Long from Ascension Seton Highland Lakes. We also have Tim Oles and Alyssa Jones from Baylor Scott and White. They are here in full support of the creation of the LPPF. So LPPFs are used throughout the state of Texas. I think they're in about 30 to 31 counties or hospital districts. And what LPPFs do, the purpose is it allows the hospitals to use their own dollars, to use the hospital dollars to form part of the non-federal share for the Medicaid program. This money is then sent up, and it allows those hospitals to draw down available federal funding to provide for the health care provided to the most impoverished citizens of Burnet County, for those who are below the poverty line, who are eligible and enrolled in the Medicaid program. It's probably common knowledge to y'all, but it bears worth repeating that when hospitals provide these services to the Medicaid patients, they're typically only reimbursed about 60 cents on the dollar. So they're typically taking a hit when they provide these Medicaid patient services for Burnet County residents. What the LPPF does is it allows those hospitals to draw down available federal funding that's approved by the federal government and the state throughout these programs, using the hospital dollars to draw down matching federal funds to close that gap. So they're not taking a hit when they provide these Medicaid patient services. And they get these dollars back through the form of supplemental payments. That obviously then frees up the hospital dollars for your local Burnet community hospitals here. They will then be allowed to expand their services, deepen their commitment to providing services to Burnet County, to all the residents of Burnet County, and allows them, particularly with a growing population in an area like Burnet, to recruit and retain talented physicians and nurses to provide the services needed here in Burnet County. We're very excited that y'all are considering creating an LPPF here. We've seen the benefit throughout the state of Texas to help these hospitals, especially, like I said, in growing areas like Burnet, to pull down these federal funds, to keep the doors open, to keep them allowing to invest back into their community, to providing the health care that all your citizens deserve. With that said, I'm here to answer any questions, but I would also like to reiterate that the hospitals are in full support of this and in full support if you do decide to create the LPPF of the recommended rate proposed today.
Mr. Neal, I don't know if you want to answer this question or someone from the hospital does, but my discussion previously with Tim Olds has been who pays for the funds? Is it something that you bill users of the hospital, or is this paid out of your operating costs, or how is this?
No, that's a very good question. So these programs have to be authorized by the state legislature, and the hospitals are in full agreement with this. The state statutes say that the hospitals may not pass this along to the patients as a surcharge of any kind. So this is a cost that the hospitals eat on their own.
Thank you.
And then when it comes to administering it, we'll administer, or it passes through the county, but for that, what are the considerations back to the county? It reimburses us for our cost of bookkeeping, basically.
That's absolutely right. The administrative burden, we try to make it, because the hospitals understand that this is something that they're requesting, that we try to keep the administrative burden to the county officials very minimal. But with that said, there is, by law, the county is allowed to use a portion of these LPPF funds to provide and reimburse you all for your administrative services, I believe up to $20,000. Hopefully with the two hospitals here, it's a fairly straightforward process, and again, we will work with your treasurer's department. I think we've already been in contact with your auditor's office quite a bit. She's been wonderful to answer our questions as well. But again, there is a fee, so there is no administrative cost to the county for this. Thank you for your time, and
Any other questions? Okay.
thank you all.
All right, is there any public comment on this issue? Or these issues, I should say. All right. So I want to just kind of rehearse. So in January or February, the first time that we heard about this program, there was some statute pending in the legislature. Burnet was added to a recent bill, or the bill was opened up. Is that right? Okay, go ahead.
No, that's correct. Yes, there's two ways the state legislature has authorized this: a general authority and specific authority. Okay. And the specific authority just got passed unanimously in the Texas State Senate, and I think on a vote of 5-1 or something in the House for Burnet County, as well as a few other counties in the state of Texas.
Okay, good. So we have both the general authority and the specific authority. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Let me just stand right there, but let me make sure. So this was introduced several months ago at the beginning of conceptual ideas. So this is not the first, this is the first public hearing, but we did hear about this idea before. I just want to make sure to get that on record. Go ahead, Ms. Nybro.
Claire Nybro, Burnet County resident. So is this for Medicaid people? Is there an income threshold, or is it only for people who are currently on Medicaid?
That's a great question. And so this reimburses the hospital for those Medicaid patients that they serve. So for those folks who are uninsured or well below the poverty line who have actually enrolled in the Medicaid program. Yes, great question.
Right. And so this is a way to cut out a percentage of the net revenues. I know in the first presentation and some of my reading it's about net patient revenue. So the operating cost of the hospital subtracted from the total revenue that comes in, that's net revenue. Is that correct?
That's correct, Judge, and it's limited under federal law and state law to 6% of the net patient revenue of the local hospitals.
Right, but that's the fund for that. But it's just the way the calculus is it's the net patient revenue is what's being calculated on. So
you are exactly right.
Good. All right, so I just want to make sure that we're all clear on this. So what I've done here is, well, I'll go ahead and so do it. The first item is to consider whether Burnet County should participate in or establish a local provider participation fund established under the Texas Health and Safety Code. This would require the Commissioners Court of Burnet County to authorize Burnet County to participate in the healthcare provider participation program, collect a mandatory payment from each institutional healthcare provider located in the county, use the funds collected through the mandatory payments for the purposes specified in section 300.0103. So, do I hear a motion on that, on this first step?
I just have one other question, if I could, please, sir.
Yes, sir.
I believe this has been passed through the House and the Senate. Has the governor signed it yet?
Thank you for clarifying that, yes, and we are waiting on the governor to sign it. I've heard no indication that the governor won't sign it. With that said, that would be to continue this past 2 years under Chapter 300. Burnet County is authorized already to set this up. So Burnet County could have done this last year. It's just that Chapter 300 will limit this to about 2 years unless that bill is signed by the governor. If the governor signs that bill, Burnet County will be able to continue this on well past 2 years. But right now, until the governor signs that bill, it will be limited to a 2-year program.
Okay, so are we working under a different statute at this point then?
You're under, thank you, it's the authority, the legislature has authorized counties like Burnet who have at least 2 hospitals to operate these LPPF programs for 2 years under Chapter 300 of the Health and Safety Code. Once the governor signs that bill, which I've heard no indication that he won't, because there are many counties who are waiting on that bill as well, that would leave the authority open, until that bill changes, until that law changes.
So would it require additional action of this court in the future?
No, sir, not to my understanding. My understanding is it's just the authority from the legislature to continue operations of this LPPF.
Thank you.
Past the 2 years.
Is there specific language on the motion, or just I move to approve?
Yes, I mean, what I was setting up in my steps there, I was going to, no, it's okay. I was reading into the record that the first part of this public hearing, if the Commissioners Court chooses to move forward on this, would require that the Commissioners Court of Burnet County to authorize Burnet County to participate in the County Healthcare Provider Participation Program, collect a mandatory payment from each institutional healthcare provider located in the county, and use the funds collected through the mandatory payments for the purposes specified in section 300.0103. Do I hear a motion on that?
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we approve those 3 steps. I'm not going to read them again, if you'll forbear me. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion passes. The second item to address is to adopt the County Healthcare Provider Participation Program rules and procedures attached to this order. I don't have an order, I guess I do have the order in front of me. Okay. It will be attached to an order. This is this is the order that attaches it, and then, so, I'm not sure if the materials, did the materials go to the commissioners as well? Or were they online also? Okay, but they were sent to the commissioners. Okay. So the second step requires an order for the County Healthcare Provider Participation Program rules and procedures, and then that will be this is the order creating the rules, and then but consistent with state law. It requires each institutional healthcare provider to submit to Burnet County a copy of any financial and utilization data required to be reported to the Department of State Health Services under Texas Health and Safety Code 311.032 and 311.33, and any rules adopted by the Executive Commissioner of the Health and Human Services Commission to implement these sections. This order would also designate that Hill Country National Bank, located at 1210 South Water Street, Burnet, Texas 78611, as the depository for mandatory payments received by Burnet County. It creates a local provider participation fund. It sets the amount of the mandatory payment for the fiscal year ending 2025 as 6% of the net patient revenue of an institutional healthcare provider located in Burnet County, and authorizes the Commissioners Court of Burnet County to take all other actions necessary to meet the requirements of Chapter 300. Is there any public comment? Thank you for your forbearance, everybody. This is kind of wonky, but it's a very specific part of code that we're trying to comply with, and we're doing the best we can. But so given what I just read, do I hear a motion on those items?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, moved by Dockery, seconded by Byerly. Is there any further discussions?
Was the bank name and address, was that on there, or is that to be chosen, and how is that
No,
chosen?
that's at the time when I was given the documents, they didn't know, but Ms. Crownover gave me the correct information. Thank you. And so last night when I was working on all this, I was like, oh my God, I don't have a bank. So, but that's the bank that we use, and that's where deposits will be made, and then the auditor and the treasurer will manage these funds, and then from that we'll withdraw the county's share of the up to $20,000, depend on whatever the rules are, but to manage the fund for county reimbursement. So, any other questions? Okay. All right, it's been moved by Dockery, moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, the motion passes.
Okay. I'll work on it.
All right, that concludes our public hearing. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming today and providing this information. And this is this only happened because we've been really blessed to have 2 hospitals in our county. And God help the poor hospital that moves in next year when they find out that they'll have to start paying into this fund. But again, it'll draw down additional federal dollars and support the longevity of our hospitals. So thank you. That concludes the hearing.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. Yes. All right, we're going to move straight into our commissioners. We're going to move straight into our Commissioners Court meeting that's scheduled 9 o'clock or immediately after this meeting. And so I will go ahead. The time is now 9:17. Today is, switch scripts here. I think today is June 10th, and it's now 9:17. Call this meeting to order, and we're going to start with the invocation. Pastor Scott, would you come up?
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's pray. Father God, I thank you so much for men who faithfully serve our community, that love this Highland Lakes, this hill country area. I want to thank you for the rain today to bless our land here, and also pray for a blessing over these men as they take on the mantle of leadership for our county, for these people, for the resources and everything. I pray you give them wisdom to make decisions, especially in those times where there's might not always look like the greatest answer, but they've got to come up with one. Like Judge said, when things are wonky, you give them wisdom. And I know that King Solomon said that wisdom's greater than strength, and those with knowledge grow stronger every day, and that there is a blessing that comes with the counsel of many making those decisions. So bless them as they do good for our county. I pray peace over them as they work, peace over them as they work with their amazing teams, peace in their homes, and that we as a community would support them in their decisions, even in times where there may be a disagreement. So bless these men and all that they do. In your precious and holy name, Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Scott. Oh, thank you. All right. I'm now going to hold agenda item number 3 to take care of a couple matters of business that need to be moved up. And I call agenda item number 4, recognition of the Ocala librarian, Tricia Platt. I will read the recognition. Burnet County Recognition of Service. The certificate is awarded to Tricia Pratt in recognition of her service to the community through her work and dedication to the Ocala Library, presented this day, June 10th, 2025. Is Ms. Pratt here?
No, she's not going to be able to make it. But there are librarians from Burnet County here.
Okay.
The three, Two-Head, and then
Hi, Mary.
Ms. Murray from the Ocala Library. And I'd like to read a few things that were sent in, if you don't mind.
Yes,
Okay.
please. Thank you.
So Trish was a wonderful force at Ocala Library and its community. I highly praise her dedication, impact, and love for the library, people, and community. Her love, positive attitude, and professionalism contributed to the library's success. She was easy and fun to work with, as well as creative with programs, projects, and fundraisers. And that's from Miss Ann Brock. She is the previous Bertram Library Director. And then the second one, Trish loved the Ocala Library and especially its community. She was very dedicated in seeing it succeed and serve the local patrons. She spent countless hours planning programs and events for the library that were engaging and informative. Her expertise with gardening and homesteading was especially favored by her library patrons. I enjoyed my time working with Trish, and I wish her the best and on her next adventures. And that's Mary Seaman, the current Bertram Library Director. So, and then on my own, I just want to say, watching Trish work out in Ocala and diligently to make that library thrive and be what it is she's really put her heart and soul into it. There's no doubt about that. So I thank her for her time, and she's moving on. I wish her all the best, and of course, I wish all the best to the Ocala Library as we move forward.
Good. Thank you very much. Okay, I called number, let's see. Oh, I called number, agenda item number 5. Yeah, thank you. Our second recognition is the Lakes Area Food Pantry, known to many of us as LA Care, or La Care, I guess is the way you say it. So, kind of sounds Frenchy there. This group was started June 3rd, 1985 in Burnet. The first donation was from the Highland Lakes Ministerial Alliance. Other Burnet groups provided support to get the pantry going. Shall we do this recognition by general consent? Recognition is granted. So we have somebody from La Care come forward. So grateful. Would you like to say something?
Excuse me. We appreciate y'all's recognition, and it's an ongoing, I don't want to say battle, but an ongoing service that we're glad that we're able to provide.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Judge, can we get a, Judge, can we get a picture back there?
Yeah, why don't we just do it together? No, I'm not near a microphone, but I'd like to say that all the years, or almost all the years I've worked in the state, La Care was one of the things that a state contribution could pick, and that was one of my favorites. I'm sure like this organization. Come on over.
Oh, yeah, Mary Jane.
All right.
She's our board president.
For many years, right?
Oh, yeah, long time, they can't get rid of it.
All right, y'all ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much. Y'all.
Have a good day.
Shanks, S-H-A.
Now, this is one of the really cool things about the living in Burnet is just the generosity of this community. I just am very grateful. So. I'm going to take one more item out of order. I'm trying to find it. Excuse me.
Oh, in here? Yeah, one second. That's not it.
I apologize, just one moment, please.
This is number 6.
Okay. So I call item number 6, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding the reappointment of Burnet County Representative Griff Morris to the Texas Housing Foundation Board. Commissioners, I met with Mr. Morris last week, and we discussed this appointment. Mr. Morris and his wife run a local business, and they previously owned a publishing company here in the county. He said his motivation and value is serving in serving this Commissioners Court on the Texas Housing Foundation will be keeping the needs of the community first. He said his long history with the county and his publishing business allows him to know and receive input from all areas of the county. I recommend Mr. Morris to be appointed to the Texas Housing Foundation Board. Mr. Morris, do you want to say anything? You don't have to, but you come to the lectern real quick and state your name.
I'm Griff Morris. I'm on the board of directors of the Texas Housing Foundation representing Burnet County.
It's said with thunder. How about that? So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a 6-county membership that we call the original members, although we're all over the state. And it's been my pleasure to represent Burnet County, and I thank the commissioners for considering me once again. We've done some fantastic work around the state. We're known as far away as Washington, D.C. as a great housing authority. And I'm looking forward to the next challenge, whatever it be. So thank you very much for your consideration.
for your service.
Thank you. I'd move for approval.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call public comment. Is there any
Okay.
public comment on this issue? Okay. Hearing none, I'll already have a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded that we approve this. Is there any further discussion? Any questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you for your service.
All right. Now, I'm going to come back to agenda item number 3, and this is public comment for items that are not on the agenda. There was a typo this week in the agenda. It's supposed to be public comment for items not on the agenda. We'll continue to do public comment as each item is called. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Patty Cope, Burnet County voter, taxpayer, interested person. I just want to reiterate my objection or my notice from the last meeting about the problems with the administration of elections in Burnet County. And also, are you taking public comments at the budget workshop? Or?
The workshop will be mainly public comment.
Okay. As part of the Open Meetings Act, this is from Attorney General Paxton. It says, at its core, the Texas Open Meetings Act requires government entities to keep official business accessible to the public, which includes meetings where the body meets with employees that it controls. And so I just want to make sure that if there are meetings that are being held, even in this hallway here, where we have 2 offices and the judge, that the Open Meetings Act is being complied with. So thank you for that. And then additionally, I do have a request from a meeting August 13th, 2024, where Baker Tilly was tabled. And the motion and second was to table the item until the next court. And so I'd like to, I think that it was put on an agenda, a report from the DA was put on the agenda, and then that was also tabled. So I think that the public still doesn't see resolution to the Baker Tilly forensic audit. And I'd like to ask to have that put on a future agenda. Thank you.
Any other public comment? For items not on the agenda?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I didn't get the memo for Yellow Tie Day, or I would have worn one.
I'll send it next time.
Sliding down the slippery slope, a digital prison without walls. Location analytics technology, geofencing and massive data collection without public knowledge. Real ID, digital ID, biometrics to access your personal electronics, biometric surveillance, security cameras everywhere, facial recognition cameras, social credit system, environmental social government scoring system, Palantir master database across all federal agencies, security badges for building access, implantable chips for pets, implantable chips in humans, Bitcoin, cyber currencies, central bank issued digital currencies, artificial intelligence, genetic modification of plants and animals, mRNA genetic therapies, COVID vax, artificial intelligence to create gene-specific cancer vaccines for humans, artificial intelligence to monitor behavior patterns in groups of people, artificial intelligence for autonomous weapon systems, robots for assembly line production operations, autonomous humanoid robots. This is Minority Report, pre-crime analysis, and Skynet Terminator science fiction come to life. Collectively, we as a free people should be standing against all of this. We are all human beings created in God's image, should be fighting every single element of all this technology. This is not about convenience, this is not about safety. This is about total control. Instead of participating and actively playing a part in the use and acceptance of this technology, this court, this county government should be leading the fight against this. See the doctrine of the lesser magistrate. It is your duty to protect those who have elected you to serve. What kind of future will you allow for your children and grandchildren? Thank you.
All right, any other public comment? I close the public comment section. I call agenda item number 7, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding the Burnet County Jail to be able to hire a new lieutenant at the pay scale higher than step 3, but not to exceed step 6. Captain Kimbler, he's here with us today, has made this request after holding interviews to replace a lieutenant that is retiring. The person selected has extensive experience in jail operations and management, and I'll just let him finish his presentation.
Exactly what you said, Judge. We held interviews, narrowed it down.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, I'm sorry.
Captain Kimbler, I'm the jail administrator for the Sheriff's Department. We held interviews, we narrowed it down to 2. We brought in an outside board of different folks around the county and law enforcement. They held the board and made their recommendation. The recommendation was made to select this individual, and she does come with a wealth of knowledge. She's actually been a jail administrator, an assistant jail administrator for 5 years, and a jail administrator for 10 at a 96-bed facility. So she's coming in with 23 years of experience in total in corrections.
Any questions for Captain Kimbler? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there any public comment on this issue?
I'm here so I can be heard. Carrie Crownover, County Treasurer. Just as a public comment, sorry.
Well, it's not.
Is this?
Okay, are you here as
it's for-
treasurer or?
As a
but you can-
question, I
yeah,
guess.
You can ask the Commissioners Court as the treasurer,
Okay.
you can ask, but not public comment. So go
Okay,
ahead.
so is this for just this one individual, or is this for the position going forward to start at step 6?
This is an exception to the policy for this
For
one
this individual.
situation, for this one time.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for asking the question. any public comment? Okay. Seeing none, do I hear a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Okay.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that, we approve this motion, this request. Is there any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes.
Is that individual here today?
I don't think so. They're still in the interview process. They wanted the permission before they move forward. So is that correct? Yes. Correct. Okay. All right. Thank you, Captain. I call agenda item number 8, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding the approval of bond for Kelly Glazer, the interim county auditor. Thank you, Ms. Crownover, for pointing that out. It was reported that Ms. Glazer needs to have a bond and protect the county while she's conducting her interim tasks for Burnet County. Is there any public comment on this issue?
Patty Cope, just one question. Who was bonded to cover the auditor and purchasing agent's office up until now?
Is that your comment?
That's my
Okay,
comment,
Thank you.
yes.
All right. All right. Any other public comment? All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the purchase of this bond for the interim Burnet County auditor?
Move for approval.
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded, Luther and Collier, in that respectively. Is there any discussion or any other questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, the motion passes. I'll just defer signing it until we're done here. Is that okay, Karen? We don't, I don't have to sign it right now. Okay. I call agenda item number 9, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding approval of the treasurer's monthly report. Thank you, Ms. Crownover. Would you like to let us know what's going on with our funds?
Yes, good morning. Carrie Crownover, Burnet County Treasurer. I have numbers for the April 2025 cash balances report. And our beginning cash and investments balance for April was $83,120,341.55. We received $3,525,515.78. Our interest earnings for April were $296,788.71. We dispersed $5,585,116.57, leaving us with a month-ending cash and investments balance of $81,305,398.49. We did receive donations to vet rides in the amount of $6,487.84.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Crownover? Commissioners?
Public.
Is there any public comment?
Do you want our interest earning rate? Is that what you're?
That wouldn't be in her report. That would be in the auditor's report.
Okay, thank you.
You're talking about the bond, the amount of money paid on the bond notes.
Oh,
That's
I
not-
see.
that's not
Okay,
cash
yes.
That's not cash on hand.
Yes.
It's a different report.
Yes.
So, no, we don't have. Thank you. All right, any other?
Move for acceptance.
Okay.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Dockery and second by Luther. Are there any discussions, any questions, commissioners? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes. Okay, I call agenda item number 10, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding damage to a private road by Burnet County due to an error of the county road map. Potential action to include possibility of approving repairs to the damaged private property of Burnet County. Commissioner Byerly, would you like to go ahead and take it from here?
Yes, thank you. Quick story time. So I inherited a county road map. We all have our maps that are approved. Mine's as of 2018. If we ever have questions about whether a county road is a county road, we have a TxDOT book in Vicenta's office that we can look at that was approved back in '06. So the Briggs streets are on my list and have always been on my list. So we started working on those streets this year. Burn the edges, and we're going to retop them. And they're pretty narrow streets. If you've been in Briggs, they're not wide at all. But anyway, it came to my attention by a member of the church that the short street in Briggs was a private road. So I went and did some research, and she was right. So in 2009, this court, Klager and that court, abandoned that road. They went through the whole process and abandoned Short Street so that the church could own, because they own both sides of the road. So I did not know that. So because of the things I just said, why, my excuses and my reasons, we've damaged that road now because we burned the edges off. So I need to put it back the way it was. And so putting shoulders on and one single course of chip seal is going to cost approximately $3,000 plus our county's time. So now I'm here to ask for permission to work on that private road.
And to be clear, not to work on the road, but to repair damage that we did with a misunderstanding. So do I hear a motion, is there any public comment on this issue? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the Precinct 2 Commissioner to authorize his staff and provide materials to repair the private road damaged by county personnel? Further, that the county judge is authorized to submit the change to the Texas Department of Transportation county road map system to prevent this from happening in future.
Move for approval. Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded that we adopt this motion. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
I just will say as an additional note, we'll be examining the entire road map as just a statement of fact. We're currently examining the entire Texas Department of Transportation road map, and we'll be making changes over the next, I think we have until August 1st to make those changes. So we'll be looking for other streets like this so we don't make the mistake in the future. I call agenda item number 11, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding the donation of land of approximately 0.5 acres located at Loop 308 and identified as the Burnet BAC ID number 6114 by Mr. Ray Bizzle to Burnet County. Said property located is adjacent to the Briggs Community Center owned by Burnet County. Approval of the donation will thereafter require the need to survey the property to be obtained by Burnet County in order to prepare a deed. Approval of the donation shall also need to grant authority to Burnet County judge to sign the deed documents, and once prepared, Commissioner Byerly, please share the good news.
Yes, Mr. Bizzell contacted me, and this property is a strip of property that connects to the Briggs Community Center property that's now county property. So he wishes to give us and deed us that property and add it to the Briggs Community Center. And so I'd like to gladly accept that generous gift to make that property a little bit bigger and more enjoyable to the residents. So with that, I move to accept the donation.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this issue? Okay. Seeing none, it's been moved that we accept this donation and the...
I'll second.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's been moved, just wanted to rehearse one more time the different elements of this particular motion. It's been moved by Mr. Byerly that we accept this donation, including authorize the survey of the property to prepare a deed, and then also to grant authority to the Burnet County judge to sign the deed document once they've been prepared, once the survey and the deed has been completed. Okay? And so, second by Luther. Second. Is there any further discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The The motion passes. Okay, I call agenda item number 12, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding the quotes for a new vibratory smooth drum roller to be purchased out of the 2022 tax notes. Commissioner Docker.
Yes, sir. We took previous action in a previous court to purchase an asphalt laydown machine, paver, and we have some additional funds in that tax note and would like to expend those to buy a common roller for all of the precincts. And we obtained 3 quotes off of buy board quotes through Anderson Machinery, Cooper Equipment, and Saki America. And the lowest priced roller was $71,383, and I would move to accept that quote, which is the lowest quote.
All right, is there any public comment on this issue? Okay, seeing none, it's been moved by Commissioner Dockery that we accept the 71,000 and some change bid. It's a little faded on my version, but
71,383.
okay, 71.
Saki America, S-A-K-A-I.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Byerly has seconded. Any further questions or discussion on this issue? All right. So just to be clear, now with the paver we bought the other day and this roller will have a complement of the kind of material, the equipment we need at each end of the county to make sure we can perform road paving and making sure good quality roads. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, with hot mix asphalt. Yes,
With
sir.
hot mix asphalt. Okay, great. All right, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, the motion passes.
Who was the second on that? Thank you.
Okay, I call agenda item number 13, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding assignment of easement and assumption agreement for County Road Resort Austin LLC property, a .049 acre tract of land situated at the Maria Catalina Salinas Survey number 15. Commissioner Dockery.
Yes, sir. And Judge, just for clarification, I know we're used to CR being county road, but that's Canyon Ranch Resort is the CR abbreviation.
Thank you for that clarification. Canyon Ranch Resort.
Correct. Yes, sir. We tried to do this previously in a court, and the document that we used for the assignment of the drainage easement did not meet the criteria that the grantor's attorney wanted, and so we redrafted that and formally created an assignment of the easement and assumption agreement, and this reflects that and has been approved by attorneys on both sides, including our general counsel. So I would move for acceptance.
All right, is there any public comment on the issue? It's been moved by Commissioner Dockery that we accept this assignment and assumption and execute the proper agreements therewith. Is there a second on the issue?
Second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? It's a pretty tiny piece of land to spend much time on, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So, all right, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes. I call agenda item number 14, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action on the recommendation letter to award a bid for County Road, there we go, that's the other CR you were talking about, 410, paving project to DIJ Construction in the amount not to exceed $234,402.58. Commissioner Docker.
Yes, sir. This is my project on County Road 410. We used hot mix asphalt to pave County Road 410, I believe in 2016, and it needs a system preservation now, and so we're going to use chip and seal overlay on that, restripe it, and refresh that road to again, to preserve our road system. And this was the loan bid and the lowest bid.
There goes.
There you go.
All right.
It actually was below the engineer's estimate considerably. So
Good, all right. Public comment?
I just have a question about what's the length of the road?
it's 4.2 miles.
So is it like a gravel road now?
No, ma'am. It's
No?
hot mix asphalt. I just covered that. We did it in hot mix asphalt, I believe, in 2016.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comment? I forgot, did you already move? I think you did.
I'd move for acceptance.
Okay. It's been moved that we accept this bid. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. So is there any further discussion or consideration? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Call agenda item number 15, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding the variance from the Burnet County subdivision regulation by David and Marie Mallard for a 2-acre tract out of 137 acre tract identified as BCAD parcel number 49416, located at 1304 County Road 258. Commissioner Byerly or Mr.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners, members of the public. Mr. Mallard has,
Go ahead and state your name. Sorry.
Herb Darling,
Thank you.
Burnet County Development Services. Mr. Mallard has requested a variance from the Burnet County subdivision regulations for a 2-acre tract. It does have a house, well, and septic on it. It's at the front of the property. Commissioner Byerly's familiar with it. I'll let him make a recommendation.
Yeah, so we've been real strict on these lately. It's on the corner at the front of the property. The owner does not intend to subdivide any more of his land, to my knowledge. And so this was done, he's just asking for this one-time variance, and already having a well, I would say helps his case a little bit for my general stance. So I do move for approval.
Is there any public comment on this issue? I do have a question, if you don't mind. Is this tract of land situated similar where it's did you say something about it being on the corner or something like that? A corner of the property or corner of the street?
It's located near the entry to the property, at the entry to the property.
Okay. And how is it situated for other landowners or houses nearby? Is there any consideration that we should take for that?
I'd say the closest residence would probably be a half mile from it,
Okay.
a quarter to a half.
Yeah.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Byerly. I did open it for public comment, so is there a second on the issue?
Second.
All right. Is there any further discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes. Okay, I'll call agenda item number 16, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action on the preliminary plat approval for Brenniger subdivision, a private subdivision consisting of one lot on, is this right? One lot on 1.238 acres out of the Smith-Bailey Survey number 101, abstract number 56, located at the 200 block of Shoals Parkway. Commissioner Luther? Or Mr.
Judge, just to clarify this for you, this parcel is actually 2 tracts out of an old unplatted subdivision. A gentleman purchased both tracts, wishes to build a house on it. LCRA refuses to consider it one tract. So in order for us to accommodate LCRA's requirements, Mr. Brenniger is having to create a one-lot subdivision to build his house on. It's not the first time this has happened.
Basically, it's 2 into 1.
No, Basically, it's raw land, it's unplatted. It's an unplatted, old unplatted subdivision out there near where the counselor lives. And for the gentleman to get his house built and his septic, they're requiring him to plat the property.
I see. Okay. All right.
And this is preliminary only.
All right.
I've looked at it and to accommodate that individual's needs. I would move for approval.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. It's moved and seconded. I'll go ahead and open it up for public comment. Is there any public comment on this issue? All right. I see none. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. I'll call item number 17, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action on the release of subdivision maintenance bond number 4407231 for Brushy Mountain subdivision. Commissioner Luther or Mr. Dark.
This is a large acreage tract subdivision, northwest corner of the county. It's got approximately 10.2 miles of road. Ish. And it was completed 2 years ago. The commissioner and I made a review of the road 3-4 weeks ago, and it's really in good shape.
Yeah, the road's held up really well, and those are large, large tracts, 500 acres per tract. I move for approval.
Second.
All right, been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this issue? Okay, seeing none. Been moved and seconded that we approve this release of the subdivision maintenance bond. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. I call agenda item number 18, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding the budget interdepartment transfer, line item transfers. Okay, I think most of these are pretty straightforward. They give a purpose down at the bottom of each one. They've been published out as well as provided to the commissioners. Is there any public comment on the budget interdepartment line item transfers? Okay, seeing none. I didn't have any questions. I've carefully reviewed them. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Okay, Luther, second. It's been moved by Commissioner Byerly and seconded by Commissioner Luther that we approve these budget interdepartment line item transfers. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion passes. I call agenda item number 19. This is the asset transfers. And we have some vehicles going to other places, getting rid of some older equipment. It's been submitted to you and published out on our website. So discuss, consider, and take appropriate action on department asset transfers. Is there any public comment on this issue? All right, seeing none, do I hear a motion? Accept these department transfers?
Move for approval.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions on these items? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Call agenda item number 20, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding the budget adjustments. Oh, yes. Already been asked about this. Go ahead and state your name, and you can explain this.
My name is Shirley Bullard. I'm an employee at Burnet County. This item is to rectify an error that was made during the budgeting process. The elected officials, the constables' elected officials were voted on August the 13th of '24 through this Commissioner's Court to receive a raise of $13,046 to their previous budgeted item. That total would have put their salary at $87,072.39. However, an error was made in the budget process, and so this amount, this $1,600 and $1,623.83 for each constable increases the salary to the voted on and approved salary increase.
All right, is there any public comment on this issue?
I'd move for approval.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we have approved this budget adjustment. It's a whole cloth adjustment, unlike a lot of the other things that we do, to just correct an error that was made during the input process. Any further discussions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Call agenda item number 21, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action for the authorization of claims previously approved by the county auditor. I know we're still working on a better way to get this out sooner, but I have carefully looked over these. These all do seem to be consistent with my understanding of the budget process. Is there any public comment on this? All right. Hearing none, is there any, do I have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve this item, the claims previously approved by the county auditor. It is, any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes. On this next item, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding the contracts, agreements, or grants to be approved and are ratified. Ritz and Associates, PA, to perform arbitrage rate calculation. Work order number 25308 to KC Engineering to provide a complete set of plans. I'm going to go ahead and not read the whole thing. Work order 2531 to KC Engineering. Dykema Levy, I think is what they're called, but anyway, Architects, PPLC, to approve additional services. Contract with Defense Logistics Agency for Law Enforcement Specialist, Constable Precinct 1. Contract with Defense Logistics Agency for Law Enforcement Support, Precinct number 2. Ratified contract with Cone. This is the one I've tried 2 times in the past to get done, and I think I finally got it right this time. Number 8, 2526 renewal notice for the benefit confirmation of the Texas Association of Counties Health Employment Benefits Pool, which we adopted a few weeks ago, but I didn't fill out the form for agreeing to the new rates. Approval of the $850 scholarship from Indulge for the Taste of Highland Lakes event, and approval of the $1,000 sponsorship for the local boat partners of the Battle on the Colorado event. Commissioners, do you want to take, well, first I'll open it for public comment. Maybe that'll help inform whether we bust this up or look at it differently. Thank you.
Patty Cope, I have a question on 22.4. This is, maybe I missed a discussion about this is the Commissioner's Court being moved upstairs. Is that across the street?
Correct, 127 Jackson.
Isn't that where was planned for the, is that upstairs above Herb's area?
Correct.
Okay, so did I miss a discussion about converting this to Commissioner's Court?
No.
So there's been no public notice to us that the plans have changed from the previous place?
This is the consideration, whether it's feasible or not, or having an architect this is the beginning of the conversation.
So is this invoice for work that's already done, or is it for future work?
This is to authorize some work to figure out if this is what we should do.
Okay, so this invoice dated June 4th for $15,750 is not for past services, it's for future services?
Where do you see an invoice?
It's attached to the agenda as 22.4.
Is that the contract amount?
I can't find the contract. I tried to find the contract, I can't find it. It's this invoice here. That was right in front of this right here.
That's not an invoice, that's a proposal to do additional work.
Okay, so that's what I was asking. Is this, are they charging us for this that's already been done, or is this a new thing that you're proposing?
This is a new thing to see whether it's something the Commissioners Court would want to do.
So you're asking the commissioners to approve moving Commissioners Court across the street, or just to look at plans for doing that?
To figure out whether it's even feasible.
Okay, and this would be for used twice a month? This valuable real estate would be just for twice a month meetings? No. Are there other plans that the public can be informed of?
We won't know until we have a professional look at the space and see what else we can do.
Okay, and then on number 8, the rates, did we see these rates before? I don't think we did.
The rates were here.
Okay.
But a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if it was 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, they sent this thing, and what I was supposed to do when I brought it to Commissioners Court was to fill out what we were going to do on our side. So-
Okay, so just as a taxpayer, when I look at the rates and I factor in $40,000 a year people and $100,000 a year people, and you've got a deductible that's the same percentage, the same flat rate, it looks like for everybody, your $40,000 a year people are paying 2.5% deductible, and your $100,000 a year people are paying 1% deductible. So I just think that, has the county gone out for bid on medical in the last few years? Just some questions.
So, how would you like to proceed, Commissioners? Would you like to vote on these individually, or?
So,
Oh, go ahead, Mr. McDonald, you want to make a public comment?
Mark McDonald, of Burnet County Board of Commissioners. Are we going to, on the health insurance renewal, that hasn't been approved yet, are we taking that into the 10 o'clock meeting for further discussion?
No, we approved it a couple of weeks ago, recognizing that the rates that Texas Association of Counties pool that we belong to had, that they told us what the rates are. They set the rates.
Right.
What we did was acknowledge that everybody's rate was going up by that, whatever it was, $100 or whatever. I don't have it right here.
Right.
I mean, I don't remember what last week's rate was, but
Okay.
and so we adopted that, but what was required was to inform the Texas Association of Counties the other charges that we charge when people want to add other things onto the insurance. And
Okay.
that's what's filled out. That's the only difference between what I brought 2 weeks ago and now, is that we have to tell them what we're going to charge our employees for them, which generally we pay for that. And then,
Right.
or if they want to add their families, what they want,
Right.
what employees will have to pay.
Okay, well, and my concerns are the same as they were last year. For the public to know, your premiums to TAC with Blue Cross Blue Shield are obscene. And the thing that I don't understand is why, if we're really trying to do fiduciarily responsible planning as the commissioners, why we don't put this out for bid, or at the very least, go to whoever represents you with TAC, broker, agent, whoever it is, and say, hey, why don't you bring us something that kind of resembles what the rest of the public is doing for health insurance? Because you have a $750 deductible plan. Is there anybody in the room that has a deductible that low? I don't even turn my back and look. I know there's not. But we also contribute $500 to the $750 deductible, which makes our net deductibles $250. That is, like Karen said previously, We love our health plan. We don't want any alternatives. That's a direct quote almost. It's ridiculous to have an exposure so low and simultaneously expect your employees to care at all about maintaining health. Because if you look at your medical loss ratios, and just to explain to the public what a medical loss ratio is, it's a combination of all the premiums that the Burnet County pays to TAC, or Blue Cross Blue Shield, combined and less all the claims that are paid. Our medical loss ratio, gentlemen, is 115%. Why is it that high? Because there's no barrier to accessing care for your employees. There's simply no incentive to try to develop a healthy lifestyle, healthy eating, healthy whatever, because Karen was promoting programs like that. Where's the incentive? But I would go back to TAC and I would say, bring us something that resembles what the rest of the public is doing. My lowest deductible on a municipal plan or any of my group plans is $1,500, half your deductible. Most of the plans also offer plans that have high deductible plans with health savings accounts available for those people who want to take advantage of the tax code, cut the premium for the county. But we're paying $4.5 million in premium to maintain our health plan for 335 employees. So it's way past time that we seriously consider something different. I don't care, I don't want the business. Ask for a quote from TAC that gets us consistent with what everybody else is doing, whether it's the school district, either one of the cities, any public sector employer, because this is taxpayer money and it's obscene. So have we already blessed this, or are we still?
This is what we're doing now.
Wow. All right. Thank you.
I mean, I don't know if we're going to do it. That's what we're doing. Hold on. Is there any other public comment on any of these issues? All right. So, commissioners, do you want to break these up? All right.
I do, sorry, I've just had some questions coming in. This is, so they're gonna design and see what it would look like and let us know.
We're going to break it up. Let me just go ahead and
Oh,
go
sorry.
in order. If you don't, yeah, that's fine. Hold that thought. So, just not. So, number one is Ritz and Associates PA to perform arbitrage rebate calculations for the Series 2022 notes for period 7/14/2022 through 5/31/2025 in the amount not to exceed $3,000. Now, a few weeks ago, we approved the hiring of a CPA to look at our tax notes. When I first started, right after appointment, one of the things I did was set meetings with the bond counsel, and I set meetings with the bond attorneys, and looked at what the status of all of our bonds were. I've talked to, identified all the areas, and so we've individually, I've met with you about just your road bonds, and so we've spent that. But at the end of the day, the tax manager advised us that we might be subject to arbitrage, which means not managing our funds in a way that met federal guidelines. And so we hired an attorney, a CPA to evaluate what our standards are. So does that make sense to you? So at the end of the day, Kelly, the county auditor, and I worked with the CPA firm that we authorized a few weeks ago, and determined what our liabilities were under the federal standards for what's called arbitrage, the loss of revenue from our tax notes. So I have, they've submitted a final report. We'll try to see if it's in here or just the bill. I'll have to provide the report in the next meeting. But they will fulfill the rest of their duties in filing the arbitrage on our behalf. So this is the bill to pay for those services.
Move for approval.
Okay, all right,
Second.
all right. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the authority to calculate the notes for Series 2022. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Okay, the next, I think the next two we can take together, the work order 25-308B and 25-310 with KC Engineering. I think they're, although they're different amounts, they're basically they're for the same road, are they not?
No,
Okay,
different
I
road.
apologize.
Yeah, County Road
Sorry, County
120.
123.
South.
Never mind, we'll take them individually. Work order number 25308B with KC Engineering to provide a complete set of construction plans with specifications for work on County Road 120 from RM 1431 to County Road 123 in an amount not to exceed $33,150.
Yeah, this one is very similar to Commissioner Dockery's road. It was paved, hot mix back in early 2017, and it's needing to be sealed and restriped. So
Okay.
this is to go out plans for that job.
So this is the plans and then put together a bid proposal package.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Any,
Move for approval.
okay,
Second?
all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Work order number 25310 with KC Engineering to provide a complete set of construction plans and specifications for work on County Road 207 at the intersection of RM 963 in an amount not to exceed $34,220. Commissioner Byer.
This is an improvement to that intersection to basically make that intersection on our side. It's on FM 963 and 1174. So this is to make the county road side more TxDOT grade, if you will, to make a much safer intersection for that super busy intersection. And I move for approval.
Okay.
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the work order number 25310 with KC Engineering. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. All right, now we're going to come to number 4. I'm going to skip number 4, come back to it. Number 5 and number 6 are similar to what we did with Constable number 4 about 2 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, where the government has a program where
Federal surplus.
federal surplus. If a constable can get equipment that they need through that, they'll apply. All this is approving the application for them to apply for if something becomes available that they're interested in. Any comments about that or questions?
Move for approval.
Okay.
That's
All right,
items 5 and 6,
5 and 6, yes,
5
sir.
and 6.
and I will second that motion.
Okay, so moving 5 and 6 for approval to submit the application, the grant application, or the agreement application for these constables. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Okay, and then this is the perennial elevator contract. It was $36 and some change a month. When they submitted it the first time, they just put $36, but they had the correct amounts on the very beginning back in February, but then they caught that it was $36 per month, not $36 increase. So it was an error in the service contract, so we can keep our elevators inspected and up to speed. Anyway, we have the correct document now. It's already been approved, but we needed to make sure that it was approved correctly. So I think it's been overkill, but let's do it one more time, and hopefully it'll pass this time.
Move for approval.
Okay? All those, any second?
Second.
Okay? Been moved and seconded that we adopt the cone contract for the price increase of per month, based on the per monthly increase. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed say nay. Motion passes. Skip 8, go to 9. and 10. Blair, you want to come on up on those two? These are requests to provide some of our tourism dollars to support some local events, the Taste of Highland Lakes, and the local boat partners Battle for the Colorado. Sounds exciting.
Yes. Blair Manning, Tourism and Marketing Director for Burnet County. Battle on the Colorado is what Formula One is coming in from the boat side of things. Previously, Marble Falls held an event called Lake Fest. This is by a different organization, but kind of the same process. I am recommending that we sponsor at a $1,000 sponsorship level. It is over the weekend of August 1st through 3rd, and it applies to hot funding under B, advertising, solicitation, and promotions that directly promote tourism in the hotel and convention industry, and E, sporting events expenses that substantially increase the economic activity at hotels within our county.
Okay.
Do them both together or separately?
Yes. So approval of $850 for indulged for the Taste of Highland Lakes, and approval of $1,000 scholarship for the local boat partners. Any questions?
Do you want me to talk about Taste of Highland Lakes?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I think I was actually out of order. So Taste of Highland Lakes, I am suggesting that we sponsor at the indulge level, which is an $850 sponsorship. This is an event, it actually is just one day, but encompasses a lot of our properties out in Kingsland and is at one of our properties that pays in our short-term rentals. And it is under hot funding for B, advertising, solicitation, and promotions that directly promote tourism in the hotel and convention industry, and C, promotion of the arts that directly promote tourism in the hotel and convention industry as well.
When is that one?
That one is September 20th at the Legends Golf Course and Villas.
Okay, I'll move for approval.
Second.
9 and 10.
9 and 10, thank you, sir.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve these two requests for sponsorships. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay, let's go back to number 4. I'll go ahead, no, yeah, number 4. I'll go ahead and lay out. So one of the things that has been both driven by the we've had a courtroom assessment that's come in, security assessment taking place at the courthouse. There's a lot of risk associated with several of our courtrooms. Here, we're trying to address many of those needs. But what's also happening throughout our county is we have more and more people moving in, a greater number of need for courts. We have visiting judges sometimes when a jury trial is going on over here, or they have 3 or 4 days of jury trial. There's no opportunity to reschedule or do that, and we're going to get bigger. And so when I became county judge a few months ago, I started walking through all of the facilities and the building programs that we're doing. The captain of the jail has invited me to come out and look at the large construction there. We've got a lot of things going on at our district courtroom, and a lot of problems going on over there for both security and sound, and the ability for us to operate our courtrooms effectively. And so when I walked over there and realized that this whole second floor was just going to be, in this building, was going to be absolutely wasted, and that we had the opportunity to add a courtroom, and then also this constant breakdown and tear down when this court needs to be operating their court. We're in here for hours at a time, and sometimes we have special meetings. We have to block out jury trials and other kinds of trials. It just makes no sense to let a building sit over there with no with no use whatsoever to anyone. I met with the architect. Can you give us a plan that we could come back and think about whether we should add a commissioner's court, and then we could have a regular court at some point. My duties as a judge will require me to have a courtroom on a regular basis. There's no sense in undermining our county court at law. Our caseloads are going fast. We got great judges who are keeping on top of it. But sooner or later, this court, my court as constitutional county judge, and then is going to need to operate. We also have 2 JPs that are right here in the courthouse that have to split courts, and we would have, if the space is available, we could set it up for commissioner's court, we could set it up for a bench, have the clerk available, have a court reporter, have a jury trial. Again, it's got to be based on design. I've given the courthouse specifications and security assessment to the architect for them to consider, but we need to have design. I do a lot of things, both in ranching and farming and government all over the state, but doing buildings and understanding how things work together is not one of my strong suits. So this contract is simply about having an architect look at that whole top floor that's going to be wasted and see whether or not it's a good idea to move our commissioner's court and have another courtroom that meets the standards required by the Office of Court Administration Security Assessment Team. So this is just to do the evaluation and architecture to see what will work and what all uses we'll be able to have for that other room. So, and I'm the one who sat there and looked at that open space and said, wow, what a waste to spend this much money, almost $1 million on a building that we can't use.
So on that, when we did that, the upstairs was something that we said, well, for now, we're going to mothball it because we have needs for the downstairs. So just for a little bit of history, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's kind of what we talked about. And then I did talk to Judge Henson, and he was very much in favor of being able to use this courtroom more. And he definitely would fill the gap if we move Commissioner's Court out. So this assessment will tell us a few questions that already came to me from citizens was how many seats it'll hold and all that stuff. That'll come from this. We'll find that out.
They'll have to provide the design specifications that meet both city, fire, and our needs. I mean,
Right.
that's the point, is figure out what our needs are and how useful will that building be, and how will it be configured to be most useful.
So do you foresee, and guys, I'm open to what you guys think, especially our historian down there at the end, do you foresee us going to weekly courts anytime in the next, I don't know, 3 years? Is anybody, I mean, is that?
I just, in looking at what they preliminarily have drawn out there, there's no seating for a jury, so that would need to be put in there if you're talking about doing 6-person juries, so it would be added to whatever they're doing.
Okay, I mean, we'll have more questions as we get a design, I guess, really.
Right.
Well, with that, are they gonna come back for some reason it's not suitable for court? Are they gonna give us some alternatives and say, hey, well, y'all can't do this, but maybe you can do this, or?
Yeah, I think at the initial assessment would be to identify the the scope of use that building would do. Like if we had a dais that could also second as a bench for court, so we would have a permanent structure at the front. What could we do with the rest of it? How would that be movable seating instead of benches like we have here? The jury box, would it be available for, but again, that's a design consideration that we'll have to feed into that process. And I don't mind having a workshop with the architect to take these ideas, but this is, we need to, we're at the point in construction that if we delay, then the building will be finished, the contractor will be off-site, and
Oh, it's time to make that decision, absolutely. And I think taking this under consideration is a possible option. But I'd like to, again, engage them as you're doing and see what the seating allowance is and the accessibility. And see if it truly fits our needs.
All right.
So I would move approval for item 4.
Second.
All right. So on approval of the additional services for the design and documentation of the Commissioners Court on level 2, and then we will, I will plan on getting a hold of the architect and getting a public hearing, just a, what do you call it, a workshop, to get more input on this
Well,
issue.
if they send us the design, we can look at the design, but that's, if you want to do it as a workshop, that's fine.
All right. All right. I'll look at that for getting additional input on that, but in the meantime, we'll go ahead and authorize them to start the design phase and see whether this is going to be feasible or not. So it's been moved and seconded that we approve the levy additional services for design and documentation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Yes, ma'am. Motion passes. Okay. On this issue we've taken public comment on the renewal notice and benefit confirmation from the Texas Association of County Health and Employee Benefits Pool. Is Shirley still here? Oh, did you want to add something to this conversation, Shirley?
Shirley Bullard, Human Resources Director for Burnet County. I just wanted to make the comment that one of the reasons that we stay with the plan that we have is that we think it's the best plan for the employees. And also because it's grandfathered. When Obamacare was enacted, there were certain things that were mandatory, and if we keep the plan that was in effect at that time, then we don't have to go along with some of the plans, some of the items in Obamacare that we don't choose to go along with.
Or haven't chosen. Is that right, Shirley?
Correct.
Okay.
And also, one more thing to address, I almost forgot, is that in the Human Resources Department, we do have Healthy County. We sponsor a lot of different things that go through the employees' participation, and we have a health fair, and we have a lot of items that we do work to try to keep the cost lower. And the other item about TAC and Blue Cross Blue Shield is that it is pooled. And so our rates are not just based on what we pay in and what we pay out. It's based on all the counties that participate in TAC, what all those counties pay in and what all those counties pay out.
So just a minute, just keep me in the rails here, Shirley. But when we did the assessment with TAC a few months ago, right after I first got here, the main cost of the driver that Mr. McDonald was just referencing was actually just one or two employees that had major catastrophic events.
That is correct.
Okay, and with a smaller county, that's always going to be likely. I know in a county in West Texas that we had a self-funded pool for many years, and one catastrophic event totally destroyed our entire county network.
Correct.
Now, in this case, those catastrophic events were spread among the other counties that participate with our program. So
Exactly.
had we been on our own, or if we'd been in a general pool, the same event would have likely, do you know, any impact that it might have had in?
It would have increased a lot more than the increase that we're receiving now,
Okay.
What is the increase this year?
2.5%.
2.5%?
So I do have a question. It was stated last year that even if we go price shopping, that would take away our grandfathered status. Is that accurate?
You know, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question. We did receive from TAC alternatives, and there was very, very little variable cost to us. There was, that would have incurred more cost to each employee for deductibles and different prescription plans and everything, but we did have other plans to consider within the TAC pool. But again, we would have lost our grandfathered status if we'd chosen one of those. I don't know if just going out for bid, surely that wouldn't affect the grandfathered status. I'll find out. I'll let you know.
And I'd like to know what the impacts are if we were to lose this grandfathered status. I mean, I believe it was 7.5% increase last year, 2.5% increase. That's a 10% increase over 2 years. I know that previously, this court had increased the deductible to keep premiums lower. So that may be something we have to look at next year is increasing it from $750 to $1,000 or $1,500 to drive those premiums down.
Well, those were some of the options that that TAC gave us. Again, we'd lose the grandfathered status, it would raise the deductibles, and the premium, the variable in that was just dollars, not much.
Okay, very good.
I didn't want to interrupt Shirley, but are we looking at the same thing? I'm showing a 9.7% increase. And not 2.7. Is that not correct? That's what I pulled off the website. And last year, your percentage increase was 7.5%.
That's right, yeah, that I remember.
And transitional relief plans are great. There is no.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Transitional relief plan, that's the grandfather
Scoot
plan.
over a little bit, Shirley, let him come back to the mic. I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was,
But-
sorry. You have a transitional relief
Say it
plan.
For the record.
Mark McDonald.
Thank you.
The transitional relief plan does provide you some cover from the Affordable Care Act, but I only have one transitional relief plan left of all the groups that I have. And the reason for that is the absurdity of the premiums to keep it. I have experienced no downside with any of my groups making the change to Affordable Care Act qualified plan, which basically says you don't have any pre-existing conditions, you don't have waiting periods for you don't have any of these things that typically would have caused problems in the past. But the thing that I find the biggest conflict with is there seems to be a lack of understanding of the premiums that you're paying relative to the benefits that you have, which is driving your medical loss ratio, which is driving your premium increase every year from TAC. Those are all connected. If your employees only have a $250 barrier to accessing care, they're going to access care more often. Now, you have a couple of large claims, I agree, but your claims that are over $10,000 are the ones that are in the renewal, and there's a bunch of those, gentlemen. And why is that? Because they only have a $750 barrier to access care, or a $25 copay, or copays for every level, 3 levels of pharmaceutical copays. My smallest number of pharmaceutical copay tiers is now 6 on every plan that I have, not 3. All I'm saying is that your employees need to have more incentive to stay healthy, and with the plan that you have and the alternative quotes that Shirley referenced, my gosh, guys, the highest quote that they gave you on a deductible was $1,200? That's ridiculous. I mean, if you went to a plan with TAC, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and doubled your deductible, you might find $500,000 in premium that could be spent on another piece of equipment or something. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, any questions that I can answer? I do this for a living. It's no big deal. But I mean, your out-of-pockets are lower than anybody on Medicare. And there's a few of those people in the room. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you.
We had Ms. Tudor.
I'm Sally Tudor. I live out in Commissioner's Precinct 2, and I would like to see saving of money and a good health care program, but the grandfathering thing, what it was intimated, there are things we might be required to pay for that we don't want to pay for, and words were not spoken, but I'm assuming that might be things like abortion, transgender surgeries, and things like that. And I think if you asked the voters in this county if they want those things covered, the answer would probably be no. And so that is a consideration. It's not the whole consideration, but I do want to voice that conservative opinion.
Thank you. All right, so according to this letter, we have until 6/27/25. We have another Commissioners Court meeting set for 6/24. So we can either adopt this plan as it is, or we can do a little bit more research and come back up on the 24th so that we can move forward.
I think we should have started this discussion earlier.
I agree. But we're here today, so.
I'd like to see it on the next one if we can.
Okay. All right. Motion to table to the next agenda on June 24th. I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of tabling this till June 24th, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Okay. Motion to table passes, but it will be on the June 24th meeting. So. I call agenda item number 23 to discuss, take appropriate action concerning calls for bids and bid openings, requests for proposals, qualifications, and related openings. And this is a request to go out to bid for the Burnet County Jail roof repairs. This is one of those items that was, will be, anyway, so we want to go out for that, and then we also want to go out to bid for an elevator at 127 East Jackson. So if we consider moving over there or doing anything with that property, we would have to have an elevator. We need to know what that costs. So is there any public comment? Do I hear a motion?
Are the jail roof repairs related to the hailstorm that we had previously?
Captain Kimbler, can I call on you as the Vernon County jailer to respond? No.
There is some hail damage.
Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Captain Kindler, Burnet Sheriff's Office. There is some hail damage, but it's not directly related to it. What we're looking at is the skylights that are original to the jail have created weak points for leakage. So what we're looking at is to address the skylight issue, to readdress all the fasteners, replace anything with oversize, and make the roof watertight again.
Thank you, Captain.
Skylights are notorious for that.
Yeah. Oh, for sunshine.
I'll
Okay.
move for approval on both 1 and 2.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we go out for bid on these two items. Is there any-
Seconded.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, moved, excuse me, seconded by, thank you, Commissioner Collier. Any public comment? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Okay, I have some things that we have received from different agencies that I bring to your appointment. I'm not sure, on number 2, Mr. Levitt, 24-2, do we need an action to actually receive that at the next Commissioners Court meeting? Or is that just a donation and we just acknowledge it?
Did not previously approve it.
Not that I know of. Do you know, Flo, Lawrence, if, this $10,000 gift for the Herman Brown Free Library? Oh, you know?
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Colleen Davis. I'm here as the president of the board of the Friends.
Oh.
We are happy to have made a $10,000 donation to be used for the Herman Brown Free Library. We just made that donation last week. So
Okay.
it has not been accepted by the court at this time, but you did receive it.
Okay,
And
thank
so
you.
that's where we are, and
All right.
we are happy to do that for the library and hope to do more later this year.
Okay, great, okay. Thank you. Lawrence, you want to say anything? Yes.
Yes, Florence Reeves, Director of the Herman Brown Free Library, and I would just like to thank our Friends Group. This dedicated, hardworking group of volunteers keeps us in children's programs and our materials, and we are very grateful for their support.
Great. Okay, so today is just a notice of that they've done it, and then we'll officially receive it into the county treasury for any actions to be used by the Herman Brown Free Library. Okay? The rest of that is just official notice, and I will call your attention to number 6. We would likely have to have a workshop or a public hearing. It is the largest I received notice that their LCRA and Encore are going to build the largest power line ever to be constructed in Texas through the north part of our county, and that we will, again, we're not doing anything on that today, but it is a huge project, and it's 765. So I think LCRA was telling me that's basically double any line that's ever come through. 3 times, okay.
And just a note to that, there is a meeting Tuesday, June 17th at the Lampasas Old Middle School cafeteria from 5 to 7.
So I did put that on our county webpage, and I put that on our county Facebook page, so people would know where there's 3 meetings that were sent to me.
Salado, Lampasas, and Menard.
Right, so anyway, 10-1 on $10, so. Okay, but the PUC apparently has already approved the construction and the line method, as I understand it. So this is only about where it will go. Your house or my house. That's all we're going to be fighting over. So that's.
But there's still a lot of area and a lot of possibility at this point.
Correct.
To our knowledge.
All right.
And that Encore and LCRA, isn't it?
So I met with LCRA a couple weeks ago, and the transmission system is huge. It goes from just east of El Paso all the way to actually it's going to go further into East Texas. And so when it's this large, they divided up the transmission, because part of it is for Encore, part of it is for LCRA. So what they told me is the eastern, whoever started it gets to pick the side that they want, and Encore picked the eastern side, which we are on the eastern side. So therefore, LCRA said we can come to them, talk with them, work with them. They'll still be our messenger, and because they're part of who we are as a locale. But Encore has this stretch, and then I think from beyond Menard, going to Schleicher County and on in towards El Paso, is LCRA is carrying the other piece of it. So they split the state, basically. Okay? There's really no sense. It's not an action item. I'm not going to take public comment. We'll probably have to do a lot more on this later. Yes?
When are they going to start installation on that?
I don't know, but the public meetings will be, they'll be posted. We don't know. I call agenda item number 25, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action. Actually, I'm going to, take appropriate action regarding the proposed amended 2025-26 budget calendar. I put that on because a few months ago, when I first got here, I was handed a calendar and said, just adopt this. And so we actually adopted something with 2 public hearings, even though the law has changed. So this is, again, just a guide, but I think the most important thing is when you get the workshops and many of the things on this calendar are just kind of fluid. We can change them, but the most important thing are the statutory public hearings that have to take place by August 20th.
August 12th.
And then the one that has to be done by August 26th. So that's really what we're focusing on. The rest of it is like I said, we might need to add some other meetings or special meetings or things like that to talk over budget issues. So, but since we had adopted one that actually said that there were 2 hearings required, which is no longer the law, I would like to go ahead and adopt this corrected version. Any questions? Any public comment?
Move for adoption.
Second.
Noted.
Patty Cope again. I just have a question for you. Will this be published on the main Commissioners Court page so people don't have to click through a bunch of places to find the calendar?
I'll take that under advisement and
Thank
see if
you.
I can figure that out. So, thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we adopt this revised budget calendar. Is there any for Commissioners Court and the tax and budget, budget and tax calendar? Any additional discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Okay, I call agenda item number 26. Is Ms. Perky here? Thank you. How you doing? I'll go ahead and introduce it, and then I'll call you right up. I just wanted to make sure you were here. I should have noticed the patch, huh? So, all right, I called agenda item number 26.
That's calendar.
27. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's right. I was going to skip it. Discuss, consider, and take appropriate action whether to provide a no objection response from Burnet County on the U.S. Fish and Wildlife purchase of land to add to the Balcones Canyon National Wildlife Refuge. And I did put the letter requesting the no objection status. And so I've asked, Ms. Perky has agreed to come and talk to us about the purchase as well as any information she can share. I hope I'm saying that right. Is that Perky? Okay.
Good morning. I'm Kelly Perky. I'm the refuge manager at Balcones Canyonlands National Wildlife Refuge. And thank you very much for sliding me on the end of the agenda on such a busy meeting. But just a change that we received 2 weeks ago. We have acquired land throughout since 1992 when we were established, but now the federal government would really like to know that the counties don't have a problem with continued acquisition of federal land in the county. One of the concerns usually is the tax loss base to the county. Well, it's called the Refuge Revenue Sharing Program, and what we do is, in lieu of taxes, there is a calculation that goes to the county that can be used on whatever you want. I do have the figures. I do have little packets. I should have provided them earlier, but over the last 6 years, it looks like it's about $50,000 a year that we've provided in lieu of taxes. All of the properties that we've purchased are all ag exempt properties, so it wasn't a huge tax base anyway. It's about $3.5 million that if there's a small finite amount of money, and if the person that gets approval first gets the option for the money, and so that's sort of the hurriedness of the issue of trying to get this no objection.
Do you have your information on the pilot program?
So this is a package that has how much we've, over the last few years, along with maps of where the location of the property is. It's in the southwest corner of the county. Just some other things that we think we bring to the county are quite a bit of ecotourism associated with it. Our Doeskin Ranch Trail measures over 100,000 visits a year, along with our support for the Marble Falls Tourist Bureau and other programs. We have a big environmental education program. We do there's multiple Burnet County schools that we do field trips for. So we also have a very strong wildland fire program. We assist with the ESDs for wildland fire, and that's reciprocated as well. And feel like I had something else, but I can't remember.
No, it's okay, but the ESDs, I had a meeting with all the fire chiefs this week, and Carl was there. Thank you for letting him be there. And so, again, we talked really great strategies about how they participate with our ESDs, and our ESDs support each other and learn about wildland fires, and even some of the changes that have been occurring over the last several years in both your location as well as throughout the county. So the way fire burns and the way it moves across the county.
We spend a lot more time talking about or thinking about fuel mitigation, especially as things become more urban. We have a lot more neighbors these days than just some nice older ranch families. We have neighborhoods, so we're trying to do as much fuel mitigation as we can associated with that.
So just I want to go back to the point. If we say no objection, we're not signing on saying that we're for it or against it. We're just saying we don't object. Then that frees you up to go after the federal dollars to add land to the existing refuge.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. Anything else?
Is that 50K, is that annually, or is that approximate?
Well, I have the exact amount I can give you
But is that annually or a one-time?
annually.
And then also, how do the ESDs and the school districts?
That's money that the county would have to distribute to them. It just comes in a lump sum to the county of Burnet.
Any other questions?
And which one is this?
So the orange highlighted,
This little one?
yes,
How many acres is that approximately?
it's 310 acres. I have one for everybody, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry I didn't get it to
Oh,
you
don't
sooner.
have one for, that's okay.
What are the green and what are the yellow?
So
Green
we,
y'all already have, or?
so we have about 21,000 acres in Burnet, Williamson, and Travis County in fee, and we have a little over 5,000 acres in conservation easements. So the light green are conservation easements, the green we own in fee.
Does that map include all the conservation easements in Burnet County?
No, just the ones that we sponsor.
Is that available?
I don't know. I would be happy to check, but there's a lot of private entities, nonprofits that hold conservation easements for folks, and so I'm not sure if one general map is made associated with that.
Thank you.
If not,
All right. Thank you, Ms. Turkey. You messed me up. I had it right.
No worries, no worries. Thank you so much.
All right. Any public comment on this issue? Okay, commissioners?
I'd move for approval.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved for approval and seconded that we grant a response of no objection to the, Department of Fish and Wildlife Service. So any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. All right, go ahead and go down to item number 28, and then discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding the new Information Technology Director position by adding the position to existing grade 76, authorizing the county judge to fill the position up to step 7. So a few weeks ago, we created a new position number to try to hire information technology. We had, over 20 applicants for the position. We interviewed 6, 7 people in that position. After doing, remember, this is also the cybersecurity chief. We had a couple great interviews, but we couldn't do much on follow-up or doing background checks. We were blocked from that, so we moved on. But finally, we got to some candidates that we could agree on, and lo and behold, after the offer was made, they wouldn't take the position. And we talked about that at the meeting where I asked you to create this new position, that it might be too low. So here we are again, if we're going to have a highly qualified internet, IT director, cybersecurity chief for the county, it appears that we need to have more funds available. So I am recommending that we consider
What's it at now?
We created a new
Annual.
position at 73. We haven't had an IT director in over 2.5 years, I think. Does that sound right? 2.5 years?
Being left in July 23, I believe.
Okay, so a little over 2 years. We
What-
did create a 73, but now it would be, 76 would be 102,000 and some change, up to 114 and some change.
How many people were offered at the 73 step?
One person was offered, I couldn't meet the other.
The other ones didn't. And what was the salary for a 73 step?
Remember, Dane?
It capped out in the mid-90s.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, that's right.
But reviewing other counties, going rates, things like that to get appropriately tenured, or not tenured, but to get somebody good enough to do the things we need them to do, that's in the ballpark. It's actually at the low end of the ballpark, but we're at least in the ballpark with this number, in my opinion.
I'd move for approval.
I'll second.
All right, is there any public comment on the issue? It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the new information technology director position by adding to the existing grade 76 and authorizing the county judge to fill the position up to step 7. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Okay, I think I'm going to, we had a calendar review. I'm going to skip that and let's take a break and then we'll start our public hearing. Our workshop. 10 minutes. All right. 10-minute break and the time is now 11:02.
Madeline, thank you.
Okay, the time is now 11:13. I call the Burnet County workshop to order.
Well, did we do it, we didn't do a calendar review, and we didn't adjourn the other meeting.
Okay, fair enough.
Is that what you were going to say?
That's what I meant to say. All right, so I'll reconvene the, come back from break at 11:14 for the regular Burnet County Commissioners Court meeting. We'll be, so we'll finish up item number 26, calendar review. I see Blair is just itching to come up here and tell us what all's going to be on our calendar.
This Friday and Saturday at the AgriLife Building, 607 Vanderveer, we have the Burnet County Area Fair. This Saturday on the Burnet Historic Square is also Jackson Street Jams featuring Bellamy Brothers. And next Saturday, June 21st, is National Make Music Day, and Marble Falls Harmony Park and other small venues along Main Street in Marble Falls will all be participating with live music.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. So you, yeah. Get a day off. Ms. Nybro.
Thank you, Claire Nybro. Commissioner Luther, can you please repeat the information regarding the public meeting up in Lampasas on that line transmission? I think you said it was at a school up
Absolutely.
there?
Tuesday, June 17th.
Got it.
208 East Avenue B in Lampasas.
Is that a school?
It's the old middle school, middle
Okay.
school cafeteria.
Thank you. That's all I
From
wanted to
5
know.
to 7.
Thank you.
And again, we put that on our both Facebook page and the county website. This is really important. All right? This is LCR's work. This is, okay, right. The question was whether this was a Burnet County workshop. No, this is not a Burnet County workshop. This is a LCRA encore presentation about their proposed power line. It has nothing to do with the county. We're just being good stewards of notifying the citizens in our county that it's not workshop is not the right word. What are they calling it?
A hearing?
A hearing.
Public hearing?
Public hearing.
Public hearing.
Notice of public participation meeting for the proposed Bell County
All right,
East.
so anyway,
Blah, blah,
it's
blah.
not a county, not a county function. Okay, anything else, commissioners, on your calendars? Okay. All right, that wraps up this meeting. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. It's been moved and
Second.
seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned.
17.
Okay, now, today is Tuesday, June 10th. It's 11:17 a.m. I now call the Burnet County Workshop to order. The first item on the workshop will be a review of the following sections of the Burnet County Budget Policy. Item number 1. So this is just a general discussion. I'd like to be a little bit more informal, but if you want to raise your hand and come up as we talk about we're talking about policy, so it's kind of complicated and sometimes convoluted. So if you whether you're, and this is open to the public as well as elected officials and staff for consideration and input. This is the one chance when we, you know, we're by what was it, August 20th, we have to adopt a budget, right, a tax rate and a budget. And so we need to make sure that whatever policies that go along with that budget are consistent and rational and reasonable for the effective use of county government. As many of you, if you've heard me speak in public, it's about people first. It's about the lives of people in the community that we serve, as well as the lives of the communities of people that work for our county. We want to take care of people at all levels the best we can. So I'll start with item number 1 in the budget policy is the general policies. Does anybody have any comments or questions about the general policy section?
We don't have a screen or anything, so.
Yeah, I apologize. Madeline, did this not get posted? None of these documents got posted for the workshop?
Oh, yeah, they're posted. I'm just saying that there's no screen, so we don't know what you're.
Oh, we're just looking at, yeah, we're just looking at the budget policies that were posted with the material. There might be some things that get introduced. I'll do the best I can. But as far as under general policy, you know, start of this fiscal year, that continuously identify areas for evaluation in order to improve our efficiency and manage costs. That should be we should conduct cost-benefit analysis wherever practical. So a lot of this stuff is normal. I think the only thing I take issue with is on number 8 that I struggle with. I know at the forum when y'all were introducing the candidates or doing interviews for the candidates, there was a lot of talk about zero-based budgeting. But the reality is there's really, since I think McNamara in the 1960s introduced zero-based budgeting in I guess it was Johnson administration. It's really not a thing because that just assumes that you just zero out every department. You'd zero out the tax collector, you zero out the JP. It's really not a thing, so it's in no sense, so I might request and for consideration in the future to maybe remove that language out of there, that at least we start at the basic elements of the budget, because you know, we're not going to do away with the JP because the Constitution says we're going to have a JP. So why talk about zero-based budget, or you know, have a sheriff's office with zero-based budget? Anyway, it just seems unreasonable and kind of irrational. So, any comments or pushback on that issue? So I'll present. If that's okay, Commissioners, I'll present. We're not going to make any decisions today, but I'll present alternative language to that section.
Is number 9 something that we've talked about number 9 before? Approved capital expenditures are requested to be purchased after February of the budget year to allow for ad valorem revenue.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, I think there was a need for that, but like now that really hinders getting things in time, I think.
It does. It really does. Actually, one of our elected officials brought to me that every time that they get authorized for vehicles, that they end up at the back of the line because they have to wait until February while all the other counties are turning in their requests. And so if by the time they get to, so there are alternatives that we can address where we can, but we have to state it in writing, and also we probably have to adopt it in our budget. So it probably has a two-prong element to that, where we would say our policy is that we could use the fund balance, but then when we adopt it in the budget, we might have to add some language in there. So that's a good catch. So thank you.
Sorry,
Any public comment? Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to really see number 9 change, particularly for the Sheriff's Department, because they go through a lot of cars, a lot of vehicles, and the mileage policy is, you know, making their cars age out significantly faster. But so you're talking about if you change 9 you could make an exception, or is this the sheriff's budget policy
I don't
separate?
know, I don't know that we would do that for a department. It's just, we would do it for the counties. That's when we adopt a budget. It gets a little convoluted if you just try to do it for one department. I mean, road and bridge go through, I mean, obviously they drive hundreds of miles every day. They eat up their miles. I mean, they might have more miles to eat up, but they're still having the same issue that if they need a car at the beginning of the year and the Commissioners Court has authorized a car, doesn't matter what department it's in, it still needs to be, they need to buy it at the best time when they're authorized to buy it. So number 9, there are some fixes to implement. So
Now, as far as what she just said, I know the mileage policy is set by their policies, right?
no, it's in.
We
there.
have ours, okay.
Yeah, it's in, the overall mileage
I got you.
policy is here. We'll be taking that up in just a minute.
Okay.
And some of the issues with that. Okay, so, again, there's no decisions today, but we can propose alternative language. I can get with the auditor about, from an accounting standpoint, how do we do that? Now, I would point out to commissioners as well as the public, we're really in a new era in Burnet County administration. Chapter 111 of the Local Government Code places all the responsibility for the operation, the finance, and the management of the funds with the Commissioners Court. In the past, there's been a much bigger role for the auditor, but Chapter 86 of the audit, I think it's 84, 86, for the auditor is responsible for the accounting and holding us accountable to make sure that we do things properly. So if you notice, the auditor is not here today. That is by design. If they get into operations, then they're eroding our Chapter 111 responsibilities. So that's why we are managing our budget and our finances and the operations of the county. And then the auditor, if we do something inappropriate, or then they're outside, they work for the district judges, they hold us accountable if we didn't follow a rule, or if we didn't follow purchasing processes or whatever. So they're not there to manage the county, they're just there to hold us accountable to do it by state law and reasonable accounting process. So, okay, turning the page to revenue and transfer policies. Any issues there with any of these numbers? I have a couple that I'd like to point out that if you're okay with it. I'm not trying to drive the meeting, but there's some things that when I read through this, the issue about, on number 3, the issue about seeking grants, it says continuously seek public and private grants. One of the things I learned from Rick Perry and some people in administration, sometimes grants come with rules that are not particularly helpful to county administration. So what I think we should, I'll submit to you proposed language to say the county shall seek public and private grants as well as other funding sources in areas of concern of Burnet County that benefit Burnet County and not obligate us to future expenses. So we have to be careful that sometimes you get a grant and you're obligated to fund that grant in the future, and it's not always the best way to do it. But we should go after mental health grants that help us out, but not obligate us to some forever process in the future. So I'll submit, if that's okay, language. Any comments about that? Just kind of narrowing that down, that it's to our benefit. Go ahead.
Aren't there?
You want to come? I'm sorry. I'm trying to record this so I can actually use it later to listen to. So
Claire Nybro again.
Thank you.
Aren't there different strings attached to different kinds of grants?
Sometimes. That's my point, is that a general policy says that we will continuously seek grants. Well, I'm not sure that's good for us, so we would say seek grants where it's to our benefit and doesn't obligate us into the future.
And so who oversees that? I know you have a grant manager. Is that part of her job to
Yeah,
look
but all
at those?
grants come through the Commissioner's Court.
Okay.
I mean, yes, there's a person in the auditor's office that submits the documents and takes care of the accounting and the audit trail and stuff like that. But
Okay.
A grant can only be applied for, accepted, and administered through the Commissioner's Court.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we've been cognizant of that in past grants. We've even applied for grants and then not accepted them simply because of the strings that were attached to them. It obligated us to perform in some fashion that we weren't willing to do so.
Great. Okay. All right.
Mike Sorensen, Burnet County Sheriff's Office, Captain. Just to clarify on some of the grants, we at the Sheriff's Office actually have a couple of grants in play, and part of that is for the benefit of the county. There are stipulations, however, though, that these grants are basically seed money, and we get them for X amount of years. And after that point in time, now we have to absorb that position or let it go, which means termination of an employee. We've actually got 2 this coming year that are expiring, victim services and mental health. And the mental health grant we've actually had for 12 years funded to us from Blue Bonnet Trails. So the grants vary. The one for victim services comes out of CapCog, which is a different entity altogether. That's on the board, actually. So the grants vary on what we apply for through the state, just to clarify that.
Yeah, and thank you, Captain. I appreciate you. So what I want to make sure, what I'm taking issue is with the language in our policy saying we will continuously seek for all all state and federal grants. And all I'm saying is just trying to put some bookends around it. So I'm not saying we won't do a seed program. Seed programs are actually helpful. I've administered some. So like in the sheriff's office right now, he just mentioned 2 that were seed programs that through the governor's office and through the mental health. That those are were funded up front, and you know that at the end of that time we should evaluate, but not because of the grant, but because of the value that they are to the county. That's what I've found is when you look at that MHMR grant, or you look at some of these, that you'll see that there's a benefit that we saved jail days, or we saved lives, or whatever. So but the policy was the issue. It's just out there applying for grants no matter what they are. So anyway, anybody? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have some questions about 4. I'm going to duck so that you guys don't throw rocks or something at me here. But number 4 about road and bridge.
Go ahead.
So the allocation has been this way for a while. This is something that is chosen by the court. And we've had 490 miles of county roads since 2015. Road and bridge vehicles have gone up since 2015 from 25 to 43. Road and bridge equipment has gone in 2015, from 93 to 114. And then road and bridge employees in 2015 was 27, and now it's 29. And so that ties into the fact that I live in Precinct 3, and we have some potholes. And I know Commissioner Collier's been diligently working at eliminating potholes, but I believe Precinct 3 has twice the center line miles as Precinct 4. Is that close? Isn't Precinct 3 the most miles?
No, not
It's you?
one of those.
So how many miles does your,
187.
okay, and Precinct 3 is,
Right at 100, I think we're 98 point something.
We're around 180.
and 4?
57.
57, okay. So because of the property tax values of Precinct 4, they get a significant amount of money, and they have very nice roads in comparison to the rest of the county. And I know that there are some people who aren't here right now who would jump up and down and cheer and say, can we consider reallocating the road and bridge distribution in the policy?
That was done in 2010.
It's done a long time ago.
2010, it was redone, and they essentially gutted my budget and took a lot of the money, and I was generating I believe at that time, 27% of the revenue for the road and bridge fund out of Precinct 4, and I was only getting 12% of the money.
Wait a minute, 27%, but you have only 15% of the roads.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but can I hold this conversation, because we are going to do one whole workshop just on road and bridge.
Okay, so will that include number 4 in revenue and transfer policies then?
Well, this is not going to be adopted. Whatever comes out of this policy will not be adopted until at the end when we adopt the budget.
Okay, so when you have your road and bridge workshop, that's in July? after Commissioners Court?
I had it a minute ago.
It's the very
I
last
lost it.
workshop.
Yes, July 29th.
So can we have consideration of reallocation or
Well,
a look-see at number 4?
whole in July.
Okay.
I don't have a copy of the items that y'all are reading off of, but my question is, I just did math during the Commissioners Court meeting, and $306,622.50 was on the agenda today, different things, different items. I mean, that's a chunk of money. The last Commissioners Court meeting, or I guess two before, I read off a whole bunch of, a list of things that were spent over the course of, the previous judge, and, I mean, a lot of things that were just frivolous. In the policy, my question is, in the policy, is there anything where there's a criteria for this is, I mean, the county government provides a necessary function, sheriff's department, roads and bridges, all the things that are, that you have to do. Is there a criteria in the policy, and I'm suggesting that we should put one in there if there's not, of things that are necessary components for the county to spend the taxpayers' money on? Because, everybody knows the inflation, what's going on in our country, that our buying power is less and less and less. And it seems to me that governments at all levels are spending more and more and more. And I don't see anything from anybody saying, we need to cut back and actually reduce the over $30 million in debt instead of keep just spending money. And so, again, my question is, the criteria for when you're looking at a budget item, is this a government responsibility, or is this just something that somebody wants to do? Anyway, that's my question.
Well, I can address that in the broadest terms, Mr. Parker, that county government by law can only do things specifically authorized to do. As opposed to a city can go and vote to do any and everything it wants to do as long as there's no prohibition against it. So what we're trying to do, what we're always trying to do, and so it's the reason it wouldn't be reflected in our budget policy is because the statute already tells us we can only spend on the things that were specifically authorized. Since I've taken office, there's been numerous people that come to me asking me to add things into the budget or spend money on this or that. And I look at the law first, and then I look at the budget. And if it's not in the law or in the budget, then I just politely say, no, I'm sorry, there's no statutory basis for that expenditure, so I can't do that.
Well, and I very much appreciate that, and I do understand in what the Texas law says regarding that sort of thing, not to the detail, but I mean there's a lot of money spent over the last several years that did not follow or fall under what you're saying. So basically, was that the county commissioners court acting frivolous, out of bounds, irresponsibly, or was it unlawful? I don't know, but that's what's been going on, and that's the thing that I'm most concerned about, because when you buy a piece of property, you pay it off, and you don't pay your taxes one year, you'll find out who owns your property, and you guys are the ones that set the tax rates, and people forget that. So anyway.
All right, thank you. Okay, just moving on number 6, I think it's a good idea to keep these items in here, but just maybe I might propose a little different language for the, just because it's going to take a higher level of scrutiny. Number 7, it says the county auditor shall present recommended line item transfers, but currently we don't follow that policy. We let each department submit their line item transfers, And it makes more sense for the county auditor to stay out of that and let each, I mean, a county auditor will let us know if we did something out of line, but it's not really their role as the, and we are responsible for managing that as Commissioners Court. So go ahead, Ms.
I'm sorry, can I address number 3, reserve policies?
I'm sorry, which one?
Well, in the attachment to the agenda, it's number 3, and it says reserve policies on page revenue and transfer.
Oh, that's on there. I'll get to that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a little ahead here. Okay, sorry about
Okay,
that.
so, anyway, Commissioners, okay, reserve policy, go ahead, you can speak to that now.
It's actually not on the agenda.
Well, it's in the policy, it's in this document, it's item number 3.
Okay, so it says 25% level of fund balance. So I think we have more than 25%. We have
It says at least.
at least. Okay, so we have 83 million in the bank.
Yes,
Is that
that's
right?
not on the fund.
That's not.
Right. But we have 83 million in the bank, and some of that is for operating, and 20% in debt service. Okay. I think that's the wrong item. Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. All right, anything else on, I don't have anything on reserve policy. We need to at least keep 25%. We'll work on that in this next budget cycle. I'm not sure if I understand number 4.3, Roman numeral 4.3. I'll get with the county auditor and make sure if that makes sense or not. Because that seems to be inconsistent with what I understood when I used to run the statewide law enforcement program. Burnet County had a modified accrual system that went to November 30th for purchase orders cut for vehicles, things like that. So I just need to make sure that that number 3 actually lines up with our real operations. So, okay, that's all I have for the rest of the policy. Is there any other concerns or? Move on to the next agenda item, vehicle take-home policy.
Well, we're gonna keep all the mileages the same,
Yeah.
keep that policy the same.
Again, we're not taking action today, but is there any consideration for whether some of these vehicles should be raised or lowered? I will tell you about the fleet policy. Thank you for, Commissioner, I meant to say something about that. When I became judge, I found out that we had this requirement for all vehicles in the county, but unfortunately, we did not have an accounting system that tracked which vehicles, which vehicles fit under this classification. So any vehicle could be simultaneously in multiple categories at the same time, depending on who you were talking to. One of the things I asked the auditor to do from an accounting standpoint is make sure that all vehicles get classified into one of these categories at the time of purchase, and in the future, that when we do our next inventory, that the managers of those vehicles have to declare what category that vehicle fit into. So the question is about active law enforcement is 150 is the mileage replacement.
What classifies as other law enforcement?
Well, so what?
Bailiff vehicles.
Bailiffs.
And also investigators. I mean, like when I was running statewide law enforcement, all of my vehicles that were state funded were investigators. So I did not allow them to have all the 15, 20,000 stabilizers and different types for high-speed pursuit, because all my law enforcement were investigators. So they could have a big old 250 to bring a stolen car out of the desert in El Paso or Lubbock, but they couldn't, or 350 or whatever, but they couldn't have a high-speed pursuit vehicle under my program. So 150 would typically be referred to active law enforcement as high-speed pursuit vehicles with special stabilizers and different classifications. And then other law enforcement would be transport for jail, right? You want to speak to that? Go ahead.
That's what I'd like to, I would suggest that the transport vehicles be classified under the 150 also, because those vehicles don't stay in the county. Those vehicles go to different states as well to pick up inmates. So sending something 150,000 miles plus to go to Oklahoma or somewhere to go pick up an inmate, just puts more stress on that vehicle traveling that distance, especially when we're loaded with an inmate. What are we gonna do if it breaks down? How do we get, so I would suggest that the vehicles for transport stay at the jail at a 150 cutoff also.
Well, my other question is, instead of a mileage, and I don't know if this is feasible or not, but have an inspection, because some of them, in the construction business, some of our vehicles, we could drive 300,000 miles. Some of them, you wouldn't get 100,000 miles on. So mileage, some of them sat there and idled all day. Some of them were, So it's, if the preventive maintenance was done, and can they be, not so much in the high-speed pursuit.
Yeah, I kind of hold those separate. If you don't
Those are,
mind.
but everybody else, including transport, not to say, but if it's still a good running vehicle that's sound, can it go 200,000 miles or above? I'd hate to get rid of a good vehicle and buy a new one when that one's still perfectly safe and reliable.
If you repurpose.
Or I guess we could always do asset transfer.
That's what we've done historically.
Yeah.
We move vehicles into maintenance. So,
Okay.
Mike Sorensen, Burnet County Sheriff's again. To kind of clarify that, the 150,000 mile mark, I think, is something that we can live with for patrol units, the ones that are on the street, patrolling the neighborhoods, that have the possibility of becoming pursuit involved. Those things take a beating the way they're driven.
Yeah.
What we do with those cars, though, once they reach 150,000 miles, they're either auctioned off, or if they're a good running vehicle, we will downgrade them, put them in courthouse security. We'll take the markings off of them, use them for admin positions and things like that, or for CID, whatever, going to classes in town, in Austin, things like that, with the markings off of them. So we'll still keep these vehicles. In fact, the vehicles that we're auctioning off right now have to be towed off the lot. They can't be driven, they're so far gone.
Yeah.
We've got some of them with a transmission in the back seat, the motors don't run. I mean, we use every ounce of these vehicles that we can. And part of that's because we actually end up going over the policy based off of funding availability to get new cars, and the lag time getting these things built, that's part of the problem as well. So, but we do downgrade our vehicles and pass them on and get every ounce of them. I've got a couple of cars in courthouse security that have 200,000 miles on them. And they're still being driven every single day. So we're not just throwing these things away.
it's not unusual. It's
Yeah.
not unusual that
Yeah.
DPS sergeant that was on the accident scene this last week, she said she's due for a new vehicle, and she's number 81 in line.
Yeah.
She's gonna be a long time before she.
Well, in fact, I know some of our vehicles, after they've been downgraded, have gone to maintenance and things like that. So
Sure.
we utilize these things the best
And
we
we
can.
appreciate that we work together as a county. Thank you. So, like I said, there are the pursuit vehicles, and Captain, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I used to have my nice prison car back in the day, and they come with a lot of extra features when you're going out to buy them, that include, like I said, stabilizers. They include usually heavy-duty suspension. In addition to the stabilizers, they have more suspensions. I mean, on the ones that I was purchasing with state funds were usually, $15,000, $25,000 was not unusual above what the same kind of car was available. So it can be a significant amount of money for those high-end vehicles to do. But like you said, they run all the time. They have lots of things that are different. So, but it's not unusual. I guess the other problem with the 150, or what the words that we put around this 150, around this policy, is also what can the what do you call it, the expectation. Like I heard one time a law enforcement person say, I thought they said it to this court, that if it hits that 150, that they'll just park the car and put two deputies together. So there's that expectation that just by hitting this mark without any consideration for how the vehicle is, it'll be taken off. So I want to be careful that the words we put around this is while we will strive to keep those patrol vehicles on the newer end, we can't just automatically assume that we're always going to have the money to just go out that day. I mean, we just put over $500,000 in new vehicles right now. It's probably not enough, but what that 150 really means is also important in our policy. So, any other questions or comments? Go ahead.
Can I just add something?
Sure.
The last vehicles the county purchased for the jail were 2016 Silverados. Since then, the county has not purchased any vehicles for the jail. All the vehicles in our fleet are paid for out of inmate commissary funds for transport, so it costs no money to the county.
Good deal.
Any other comments about policy? Thank you for Commissioner Collier for bringing that back up. Okay, the next issue is the vehicle take-home policy. Mr. Levitt, did you find some information that you might want to share with us regarding vehicle take-home?
Sure. At your request, a couple of county general opinions. Can I stand here?
Yeah, if you don't mind, stand by the mic so people can get it on the record and people on YouTube can listen to it.
Yeah, essentially, you asked about what the law is regarding the county's abilities to create policies for mileage and take-home and whatnot. And essentially, what the AG has said is that it's really a judgment call in the Commissioner's Court, and their limitations are they can create policies as long as it does not impact the sheriff's ability to do his job, to carry out proper law enforcement. We've got a local opinion talking about Atlanta County. They created a policy, they sent it to the Attorney General, asked the Attorney General to see whether it passed muster on whether or not they had overstepped their boundaries on their policy. And basically, what the Attorney General's office said is that it's a question of discretion of the Commissioner's Court. And the only review is going to be a judicial review. They're not going to make the decision for us. So the bottom line is, you can create policies, countywide policies that affect the sheriff's office, so long as it doesn't interfere with the sheriff's ability to conduct his constitutional duties, his sphere of authority of, taking care of the law enforcement matters within the county.
Okay.
Got any questions on that?
I mean, as far as the other vehicles for non-law enforcement, everything is still fully within our discretion?
Fully within the Commissioner's Court's discretion to set those policies.
All right, well, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. So, so I think in this section that we have in the book is, the general policy is that all tool and equipment and everything that's owned by the county is for the purpose of the county. Anybody that's assigned a piece of equipment or car is responsible for taking care of it. There's no personal use, but it seems that there's a thing about take home, as far as vehicle, if authorized to drive to and from work. The problem I'm having in this policy is that I don't know who's authorized and when they got authorized and how they got authorized. And so I have an emergency management coordinator that works for me. He's at 10 o'clock at work, and then he's down in Marble Falls at 3 o'clock for a big fire and a fatality down there, and he's all over the place, and it's really hard to imagine him not having a vehicle, because after being at 10:30 at night, we're back out at the tornado site in the north side of the county the next morning, and these are problems that are real and affecting the ability of the county to effectively respond. But there's other people that I really don't know why they're having cars or taking home or whatever. So I just think that we should evaluate this policy and what we really want it to do. And then also have the other section before you jump in, Ms. Cope, is how far it's okay for somebody to go outside their duty station. Ironically, the emergency management guy is less than a mile from his office, and, you know, but that's a concern about how for me, it's a concern that I don't have a record of when people were authorized to take home vehicles, and I don't have a record of how far they can go in their vehicle. So, go ahead. Ann.
Okay, so when you described your emergency management guy, you were actually describing the JPs too. The JPs go in the middle of the night at zero dark on unpaved roads, washed out roads and all that kind of stuff. So I know that the JPs at the salary grievance hearing, I think they said they didn't really care to have a county vehicle, but I don't know if that's still true, and there's other JPs, so. But that's something to think about, because you did describe exactly what they do at 2 o'clock in the morning too. The other thing was the criteria for county vehicles, from what I understand, for administrative people and for exempt vehicles is 2 doors with no back seat to be a qualified exempt vehicle. There's an IRS stuff on this. So it's something else I think really needs to be carefully looked at is.
Say that again.
Okay, so for, y'all have exempt plates, but the IRS says for, I think it's for the cars, for the mileage to not be tracked.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't think anybody's tracking their mileage. There's no GPS. You are, thank you. There's no GPS tracking. We don't know where the vehicles are, the administrative vehicles. So that was just something that, I think this policy is pretty old, and maybe we could bring it into 2025.
Yeah, I think I'm not being ugly, but I think you're confusing the state exempt plate, which is a standard for state law, compared to exempt for other.
Well, they actually work together. To get a tax-free vehicle, they work together.
Yeah, but in Texas, all county vehicles and state vehicles are exempt.
County-owned vehicles can be exempt, yes.
They're always exempt in
Yes,
Texas.
you can have an exempt plate.
Not to the IRS, but to this.
Right. So when you look at your policy here, it talks about maybe and shall be taxable. So that's something that might need to be looked at, because that ties into the IRS rather than the state.
Correct. All right. Anything else? Is there anything on that? On the vehicle policy, take-home policy specifically?
Claire Nybro again. Is this the right time to ask the status of the vehicle that was driven by the former county judge? Is that in operation?
Talking about my vehicle?
Oh, you're using it. Okay. Okay. Are you using it?
I use it when I have some county business.
Okay.
I know, but I have the vehicle with the
Okay.
extended tires and all the
Okay.
accoutrements that I have mileage on, and I drive it when I have official business to conduct, like hurricane or tornado assessments and official events that I have to attend in my duties as county judge. But the rest of the time, I just use my car.
Okay. Thank you.
Any of the commissioners are going to be clarification on the sheriff's office take-home policy?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful right now, because I would certainly hate to take on an edit of this policy without, of course, Mike, I think you know me well enough to know that I'd be submitting it to Calvin long before I'd get very far, but yes, please.
Mike Sorensen, Burnet County Sheriff's Office again. All of our officers have take-home cars, meaning officers only, law enforcement officers, not civilian staff. And they have a 25-mile radius outside of the county. And the reason for that is that they are on callback 24/7. And you know, our county is not overpopulated with law enforcement, so we need help when we need help. So any time of the night, these guys get called back in, and myself included, to come and handle all these crises 24/7. So that's the reason they have a take-home car. They respond to things much quicker. The other reason is the mileage is kept down on cars that you don't have to keep running 24/7 like I used to when I started law enforcement. We have a car, I go to work, got to wait for the guy to get his warm butt out of that seat so I can get my warm butt in that seat. And it ran all night long. And those cars had 100,000 miles on it in like 4 months. So now we extend the life of the car, and the officer has that car to take care of it himself, so he maintains that car a lot better than what you would if you just keep getting hot lapping the car all night long. They also have to maintain that car on their own time. They have to wash it, get the oil changed. We pay for the oil change, but they have to do that on their time. They don't get to clock in when they do it because it's a perk to take this car. So we allow that to happen in that status. If they have an accident, which unfortunately we've had, we have an accident review board that we go over, which we'll probably talk about later on, to find out if they're at fault. If they're at fault, they might lose their car for some period of time. So we have things in place for things like that as well. So that's kind of the gist of our take-home policy. We maintain that really, really closely. Okay. Any questions?
One question that came up when I first started attending Commissioners Court a few months ago, where if an officer uses or has a secondary role as a security.
Right, overtime job.
Overtime job.
Yes, sir.
How does the vehicle come into play with those situations?
They get to use the vehicle for an overtime job, but that entity is paying the dollar value for that car that comes back to the county.
Oh, that is coming back.
It comes back, it's like $10 an hour for the
Sure,
car.
sure, that's
And then that
fine.
comes back, and actually Donna bills it, and then she sends it, and the money goes back to the owner, so. Then to the treasurer.
All right. Very good.
Yeah, good. The county getting a compensation for the use of that vehicle.
Are most of those jobs, when they take that car to another job, an outside job, is it just the mileage from in between, or are they using that car at that job?
It depends what it is. If it's a road job where they're traveling, then they're driving on the roads, for safety of the road crews. Otherwise, most of the time, they're just going to a location.
So like a big barbecue or whatever.
Wedding
they're gonna
venue,
provide the
wedding venue,
security.
stuff like that, yeah, we'll go there, they'll just use the car to park there. And the reason for that is also if they have to do a law enforcement function while they're there, they have that car to make that arrest or apprehension or deal with that aspect also.
Captain, is it the same for the constables too? Do you know?
Yeah, I think one has his own vehicle because he's going out of county, which constables have multiple jurisdictions in other counties where we don't. So we can only use our cars in our county.
So that may be a little off, but on the insurance part, if that vehicle is wrecked during that period, it's still our insurance, but is there any other avenue to collect from the person they're working for?
Well, if we're not at fault, yeah, of course, then it goes through them. We still have to go through TAC to deal with all those issues, but they'll still be recognized at fault and then go through the insurance process like any other company. If that officer happens to be at fault, then it's still through TAC because technically they're on duty 24/7 while they're in uniform in a car, even though they're making their own money. Because we're billing them for the vehicle.
But to his point, like TAC has a subrogation unit, so if it's Billy Bob's fault, then TAC is gonna pay for the repair of the sheriff's vehicle and do
Yeah.
subrogation to Billy Bob to go out.
And that actually creates a problem for us because when that happens, we still have to pay our deductible out of our budget and we have to get reimbursed whenever TAC gets reimbursed down the road.
Yeah, I understand that piece.
I know you do. I know we all face that.
But we all face it.
We all face that.
And this allowance to use sheriff's and law enforcement vehicles, I think it's state law, it's allowed. Yeah, so it's not a county policy, it's state.
Yeah, but as Randy just presented, we could put limits, but you're already putting limits on how far they can go outside the county line.
Correct.
And that's the measurement, is the county line, not the
County
duty
line,
station.
county line is 25 miles. And also we impose limits on oil changes and all these other factors that maintain the safety of the vehicle.
Sure, okay.
So, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Captain, and so I had somebody.
Can you just step to the mic and say your name? So we're recording this for the public.
Roxanne Nelson, JP1. I had someone contact me who drives to San Antonio, lives here but drives to San Antonio for work. And there was a lot of highway construction going on in between here in Blanco County. And they said, can I ask you why there's a Burnet County Sheriff's car sitting along the highway south of Blanco every day? And I said, I have no idea. So it seems like that's a danger, that's a liability for us. They're driving south of Blanco. I think the road construction is now completed. But I know around town, I see that these vehicles run even when the driver's not in the vehicle. So they're sitting roadside with an engine running all day long on a construction site, not in our county. And it seems like that's going to wear our vehicles out a lot sooner than they should. And I just don't understand why we allow something like that. The occasional event where they go and they're providing security, I kind of understand that, but just to sit on the side of the road and run their engines and provide that deterrent for people to speed through a construction zone seems a little iffy to me. That's really, as a taxpayer, more than a JP. I didn't see it happening, but a constituent reached out to me about it and wanted to know about it.
All right. Anything else on this issue? Okay. Well, it's been some good testimony. So we have a dilemma here. It's now 12 o'clock. Some people are hungry. We've got a few more things to do. I don't know how long they'll take. Want to keep going for a little bit longer, see if we can get through some of these others, or take a break?
You're just going through this flex time, and we're just through this, the only thing we were doing the workshop on.
Yes,
I would assume to stay here.
Okay, all right, let's keep going then.
I'll let you know when my mood gets affected.
All right.
Getting angry.
All right, let's talk about risk management mitigation strategies. So TAC came by the office a couple weeks ago, and they said, we're going to be reviewing your new insurance rates for liability. Remember, we're on a big pool with lots of other counties about our size, and some of them smaller. It's usually a better value, I guess, something we can look at if we need to, but I've always liked the TAC program. They've done really well when I was running statewide offices for the counties. They responded well to getting my counties back, keeping them going and stuff like that. So they have a really good service reputation. But they said, basically, we're going to raise your rates. It's probably going to be a lot because you've had a lot of accidents unless you take on some mitigation strategies. So I wanted, again, we're not making a decision here today, but they said, you need to look at something for me to tell the underwriters that you're trying to get your accident rate down. And so these were 4 that they talked about. One of the things, we have a policy that says we do investigations, but if an accident occurs, but we're not bringing that back to the commissioner's court. Should we be looking at those, at least some sort of summary? I was looking at, Captain, I did ask for several yesterday, and some of them have a lot of personal information, so I don't want that coming, but we could probably maybe come up with a strategy so that when the commissioner's court, or when somebody has an accident in the county, and not just law enforcement, it's anybody that has an accident, the report's done. Either if it's a non-law enforcement official, it has to be done by our county sheriff's office. If it's a law enforcement official, it has to be done by another state agency, which I think it's always DPS, isn't it, Captain? DPS. So DPS always takes that on. And so, but that doesn't come back to the public or to, even a summary to say this happened and this is what found. So that was one issue. The other was a remedial training. I think DPS or TEEX or somebody has specialized training for law enforcement. So if it's a law enforcement person, they go through that training. If it's an employee of the general employee, non-law enforcement employee, they can go to some of the state agencies used to do every 2 years. You had to complete a safety, what do they call them? Driver safety course every 2 years to operate a state vehicle. We can do that either across the board for all employees using county vehicles, or just at least the ones who have accidents. We can do an annual driver's record review to see if there's any risk associated with people operating our thing. Or and I know the captain already mentioned that in some cases they might restrict the use of vehicles. I don't know that we do that for other departments. So those are some ideas. Any public comment about those ideas for risk mitigation strategies?
Claire Nybro, anything you can do to make that more transparent in Commissioners Court, I would be for that. Transparency and accountability is always a good thing for the county to follow, so.
Okay, thank you.
With that said, it may be beneficial to have a report to where did those accidents, are they across the board, or are they a certain department? Good information to have at some point.
Okay, anything else on that? I call item number 4, review the following sections, birth time and leave policy, flex time. Shirley, do you want to say anything to open that up? You don't have to, but basically our flex time policy, again, this is kind of where the flex time is different than other kinds of leave, because if a big tree goes down in the middle of the night, blocking County Road 410, somebody's got to go get that tree one way or the other out of there, and then they might need to take a little bit of leave within the payroll period. But our current policy is quite vague, isn't it, Shirley?
Our current policy sounds like it stopped in the middle of a sentence.
Thank you.
I propose that we make a change to the flex time, which makes it a lot easier to understand. Flex time has to be taken in the same pay period, the same week that the overtime was worked. So flex time can be used to avoid overtime payout. A department head can require employees to take time off within the same work week to avoid overtime pay, as long as they're not altering the defined work week, which is Saturday at 12:01 to Friday at 12 o'clock. The department heads can dictate employee schedules in order to avoid overtime worked. However, the department head is mandated to require the employees to fill out timesheets to reflect actual hours worked.
Jim?
That's the proposed change that would eliminate the confusion.
So it could be a cost-saving measure as well, because we wouldn't have to
Absolutely.
pay time and a half overtime. And oftentimes it's to the benefit of the employee, and the supervisor and the employee has the flexibility to work it out.
Absolutely.
And the timesheet will show what's happened. Okay.
What page number is that?
I just have flex time.
I know it's not attached to the agenda.
No, this one was just written, just created.
This says overtime. Oh, is flex time part of overtime? Oh, I see.
Number 4 is flex time. So, all right, again, any public comment? Thank you, Mike, for helping out.
I just have a question.
Sure.
On this flex time. Mike Sorensen, Burnet County Sheriff's Office again.
Thank you.
In the line of work that we do, where we're on 24/7 and off, in the middle of a weekend, it's really difficult in some senses for us to flex our time out in that 40-hour pay week. If we're able to use the entire pay period, that 80 hours, it would be better for what we do. I know everybody else in the county does it.
Yours are counted as 2-week schedules for 84 hours or 86 hours.
Is it?
rather.
That's not how they're
It's totally
practicing that
different.
then. They're not practicing that all the way then. So,
It's been changed so many times.
yeah, and I'm confused then. So, but the 80-hour pay period would be better for us to have our time reflection instead of 40.
So that, with the investigators that are on 40-hour weeks instead of the shift employees or 84, the pay period is calculated at overtime at over 40 hours. So it's by the week instead of the 80-hour pay period. So it has to be the 40-hour week.
80-hour employees are about a week.
So it may not fit, go ahead.
Well, the only thing is, if you get caught, like on the road and bridge crew, if you get called out on a Thursday or Friday night, that's the end of our 40-hour week. How are we gonna take time off without it rolling over into the next one? So we're gonna pay overtime, basically. Okay.
if it happened Monday night,
We could
you'd be
flex it
able to
out.
flex it out, and at least you'll have part of those days where you don't have to pay overtime. So it may not fit every situation according to the time clock and the way it works, but if, at least you have the opportunity earlier in the week to save money for the county without paying overtime.
I think this adds options, right? We can do it, we don't have to.
Yeah, it's not a, you have to. It's like, I had this tree come down, I gotta do something. This is a reasonable option. Right now, like Shirley said, it looks like it just stopped in the middle of a sentence. It was like, I read it and I was like, what does that even mean? I don't even know, so. Okay. All right.
Good. Commissioners?
Anything else? Any other public comment? Okay. So it
Commissioners?
may not work for everybody.
Can I ask a question
Sure,
about
go
that?
ahead.
Because y'all talk about flex time and overtime. Y'all never put overtime funds into any department. Maybe different with the sheriff's
I'm
office.
not
but
sure that's
so-
true.
Well,
Okay.
other departments don't have any, you know, so we don't have a choice but to do that, and we've been living with it just
Yeah.
fine. I'm just wanting y'all to understand and know that y'all are saying gives you ability to do different things. Well, other departments don't have that, and it's okay, I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah, I think R&B has some overtime.
I thought I've seen it in numerous departments throughout the,
My department doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
more of a placeholder to transfer the budget line item in more than likely.
Eddie, how often do you guys need overtime?
I mean, it'll come up I mean, you're in court on a Friday, and something comes over, a protective order, individual comes in and you stay late. Those things do happen. The way I've looked at it is it's never been to such a degree where we haven't been able to work it out, but if we were really stuck in that situation, then I would think it's my position to come in front of y'all and explain the situation and ask y'all to fund it, because I don't have any choice. I couldn't flex it out. And maybe that's the thing that you do, is just let the department heads know that if you run into that odd situation, then go to the commissioner's court and let them know and let them
Are we
figure it out.
talking about exempt or non-exempt employees in your?
Non-exempt.
Okay,
Yeah.
so like the other night, I mean,
Yeah.
I've been up here late at night and seen that you've had
Yeah,
numerous jury
the
trials.
exempts hang out.
Right, okay,
The non-exempt.
right, okay, just be clear. I know y'all had a lot of late.
Well, that happens all the time.
Sure, okay.
Isn't the elected official in charge of supervising their staff, and wouldn't that be a decision that they make, and then they would come, how they want to flex it or not?
They would, but I guess to his point is that they, for his non-exempt employees that would qualify for overtime, we've never even given him the option of flexing, or, I mean, this flexing would, what I hear you saying, would be a tool that you would have available to you now.
It's the only total I've ever
Right.
had.
And then the alternative is,
Overtime. Is to pay overtime.
okay. All right, any other comment? All right. Review and planning of coordination Burnet County facilities. The long-term building use, we own a lot of property around town and around the county. I guess the only thing, I don't really have a document per se, but we've just been given a new park. I think what I may be coming to the Commissioners Court is looking, I was listening to, or I went to a school board meeting recently where they're getting an architectural firm to evaluate their properties, to get public input, and develop a capital management and capital improvement plan. I think we're way past that because we own the school property, much of it that can't be used. It's got the use of it that's there, like with the Head Start program and the AgriLife, but we have other needs for the county. The district attorney needs space. The other, we don't have places for probation and some of these others. So we just, again, I don't know that we can solve anything today or can't. We won't make any choices, but just to put the county on notice that we need to look at our capital structure and operations. So even this whole thing over here with the Commissioners Court potentially being used at 127, there's no plan to say how we'll grow. So any other comments?
Roxanne Nelson, am I the only one that's in a leased space now?
so, but it's not because I want you there, it's just because the architect hasn't responded. We're still working on your problems, but yes.
You can't work on all my problems,
Yeah,
but thank you.
the water problems downstairs.
So, yes, I'm the only one in a lease space right now.
I think that's correct, unless,
And as we discussed, I think yesterday, we've got a little less than 2 years left on that lease, I believe. Okay.
I better get busy.
If that's the only problem of mine resolving, yes.
I think we've had enough on health insurance management today, so we'll just go on to the next thing.
Was that an action item on the one that was tabled for the next meeting? On health, that was an action item?
It was an action item, it'll be an action item in the future.
What is the action in interim?
Oh.
Sorry, it's on file, never mind.
Item 7, county facilities, parks, and historical sites. Again, we've had Commissioner Collier and his precinct just had this Stringtown Cemetery donated, but have the opportunity to buy land, but is it the right thing to do? How should we go forward? 800 acres, I think, right, in precinct 1?
Yes.
In addition to a boat dock that with several acres of land that's not being used right now. Again, kind of the same thing as probably tied into our capital, what I've just mentioned about capital assets. We really need to have some plan about what the community wants to do with these resources, and then what we should do as an operation.
What was that, about a couple acres out of the 800?
Silver Creek boat ramp.
No, I'm sorry. There was 800 acres donated.
Yeah.
And then
Different topics.
two different things.
Is
And
it
then a
800?
boat ramp that has several acres that's not being used, but we own. So I'm just saying, we need public input, we need professional help beyond what I can provide. So it's just, again, for the consideration of how are we going to upkeep them. I know the Briggs Cemetery, the Briggs, we were talking earlier this year about maintenance for the Fort Croton and some of these county-owned properties. We just don't have a good plan. And so as a policy, I think we should examine our future and how we manage these resources for the public good. Okay, that's all I have. Any other public comment before I close the meeting? Any other commissioner comments or questions or objections to me closing the meeting?
Definitely.
All right. So this, it's now 12:20. This public workshop is closed. Thank you for coming.